Hi everyone, welcome to the inaugural episode of Snobservation.
Welcome in.
Welcome.
The podcast where we get snobby about all the movies that you adore and you just have to deal with it.
Because our opinions are right. Why? Because they are.
They're our opinions, that's what makes them right. My name
Take it as fact.
Yes, my name is Priscilla the Doll. I'm here with my co-host, Azel.
Hi. And we are joined with Ruby.
I am Ruby Dead Queen, Queen of the Dead. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
Amazing.
So glad to have you for our first episode, honestly.
I'm glad to be here.
A total gift.
And yeah, this is our first episode and we are covering good old Transformers 1 released in ye old year of 2024.
Oh god, don't say it like that.
It's only been a year and it feels like centuries.
Right?
It's gonna get worse with other films we're gonna watch, just saying.
It's kind of different if the film has been released in like 2010 or something, because I'm like, okay, time has passed. 2024 is different, okay?
Time's funny like that.
It is. It's a mess of a thing, but we love it. Do we? No, we don't. But yes, we're here with Ruby Dead Queen. She submitted Transformers 1 from 2024, and since it's her lovely movie, why not get her to introduce it to us?
Yes.
Alright. Transformers 1 is a movie that is a twist on the origins of Optimus Prime and Megatron, two figureheads of the Autobots and Decepticons respectively, going back to when they were just a pair of mining bots named Orion Pax and D16. In their travels in the movie, they find out a deception that the government has put on the entire planet after the disappearance of a major relic called the Matrix of Leadership, which allowed Energon, which is kind of like their fuel source / food / drink. It's kind of nebulous on what it is, other than what powers them.
It's like when I don't get enough sleep and I need to have a bit of sugar.
Exactly. But yes, without the Matrix of Leadership, the Energon stops flowing, which is why there were a need for mining bots in the first place, so they can actually create Energon.
Yeah.
They are joined by two others, known as Alita-1, who's superior in the mines, and B-127, who's later known to be Bumblebee, or in this movie just B, or as he's tries to lead people to believe, Battlecitron.
Battlecitron.
I love it. I really like the face he does when he says it too. It's very good.
Oh yeah, no, just going completely wall-eyed, it's the best.
And he sets his jaw in a very fun way, it's great.
The movie opens with a long shot into watching Orion Pax breaking into the city's archives, which is a reference to often his original role in previous iterations of Optimus Prime / Orion Pax, in that he was an archivist.
Yeah, I love this sort of like callback. These little callbacks in the movie that you've been telling me about are very exciting.
Oh yeah, no, there is a lot. Even just some of the background characters are callbacks.
Oh, I love that.
I saw some familiar names in there across the movie.
Yeah.
Many. Romeo, Motormaster, Jazz, RC. Some that weren't mentioned. There's Cliff Jumper, Ironhide. You could really tell who they were by the end of the movie.
Yeah, with just a lovely split. Yes.
Yes. But yes, in many iterations before, Orion Pax was an archivist, kind of a nerdy kind of guy, stickler for the rules. But in this iteration, he's a troublemaker, essentially.
Yeah.
Breaks into... And he is in there looking for information on the Matrix of Leadership. Yes.
Say it in the voice, I'm sorry.
Right, the Matrix of Leadership.
It's the MacGuffin of the movie. It's the big goal.
And not just the movie, basically most of the series.
Oh, true. True.
And in that we get our exposition on Primus, who is Cybertron, quite literally.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that whole sequence references all the way back to 2001 Transformers, I believe, it was Transformers Armada,
Ooh.
where Primus is Cybertron.
Oh,
He is the planet.
Yes.
Yes,
There was like that whole part where it said the planet is a guy, basically.
Yeah, yes. In essence, the first Transformer,
Oh, that's cool.
and he and for all purposes is basically the Cybertronian god. There's a Cybertronian.
He reminds me quite a bit of a lot of the myths surrounding. Oh god, I'm so bad at remembering things when I think of them.
Do you have
another
any
thing.
cues? I could probably.
The thing is, this is from a mythology I don't think you guys will know.
Aztec?
No. Okay, so he reminds me a bit of Papa Tuanuku, the Maori goddess of Earth, the Earth Mother.
Maori. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm vaguely familiar with that.
Papa Tuanuku. I'm probably saying it wrong. It's been a while since I said that one. I'm a lot better at saying the Sky Father's name, Ranganui. But yeah, he reminds me of that a lot.
Right. And not long after after becoming, in this iteration, he becomes the core of the planet. The Armada iteration is, he is just the planet.
Mm.
But after his, planetification, I guess, he creates the 13 primes, which are, in essence, demigods.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of much information on them because they don't play a big part of the movie.
No, they're just kind of figures in like the mythology. They are figures of inspiration, almost like idols to look up to, pedestal creatures.
And they are missing, essentially.
Yeah, they just vanished one day.
Yes, but a new prime in their place came into being, Sentinel Prime.
Mm-hmm. I won't lie. As soon as I saw him, I hated him.
He does have a punchable
Yeah.
face.
In many iterations, that is a normal reaction. Honestly, kind of a dick.
Okay.
Back in the Transformers animated universe, he's more of a bully than, what he is in Transformers 1.
His vibes are rancid, basically.
Very.
I smelt the stink on him.
He's not
Smell the
passing.
rust.
He's not passing the vibe check. We'll say that.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, now back to the movie. In his research, he actually accidentally makes too much noise, which alerts the guards, finding to where it turns out he is missing his T-cog, a transformation cog that allows him to transform,
Yeah.
which actually sets up a dichotomy in the film of those that can transform and those that can't. That class divide.
Yes.
Yes.
A very interesting class divide, and like a very much a forced class divide that is perpetuated by the government very, very, very directly.
Right, which they don't find out until about halfway through the film.
Well, yes. The government has to keep them happy and complacent. You know, they gotta stay complacent, babes. That's how they get you.
They gotta keep the miners in the mines.
As a sparkling, I yearn for the mines. For context, a sparkling is basically just a protoform Cybertronian that hasn't taken form yet.
The babies.
Basically, baby.
The babies.
The babbies.
And which also leads into the first comedic bit of the film where he gives off the illusion that he can transform, and he does the motions, there's the building music, only for it to smash cut to him running away.
I fucking loved this. As soon as this happened, I lost my mind. I was like, this is amazing. This is the best movie ever. I'm in.
It's a really good note of like humor, especially considering if you're a Transformers fan. Whenever you see Optimus, you expect him to transform. Like,
yes, that's what he
immediately.
does. That's what he says. That's his famous catchphrase.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
in one is like, I'm running away, ha ha ha, goodbye. No, the audience is seeing me transform. You just gotta wait for it. Not now.
Yeah, they're doing a bit of
Yeah,
foreplay
I
with the
transformed
audience.
the trailers, but you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, they're building up anticipation for the audience. They don't wanna help you out too quickly.
Right. And in running away, we also find another bit of the class dichotomy in that to get away, he needs to do some fancy footwork and parkour going from place to place.
Yeah.
Because not only did the security guards recognize him because he's a repeat offender, the guards could transform, which leads into the animation detail in that there are a lot of moving parts to Cybertronians,
There are.
which must have been very difficult to animate.
It's so fucking gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. Oh my god.
Icon in general is such a beautiful city.
Even if you're not interested in the plot, which I mean, generally at first I was not, because I'm not really a Transformers girl, or like a sci-fi girl. But this should be your selling point on the movie, is that it's stunning. At like every single scene, you will be amazed at the beauty.
The composition
Yes.
work in this film is absolutely gorgeous. I could go on for like 15 hours, but I won't. But I will touch upon.
Which is why.
Sorry, go ahead.
Which is why it's a tragedy. It got so on how it underperformed, and on how badly marketed it was.
I will say, I don't really watch advertising these days. So I am an outlier in this sort of factor. I never saw the movie yet, trailers or anything, because I just don't look at
That's
advertising
just
for
it.
movies.
There was like 2 trailers, and that's it.
Two shows that is.
They only started marketing it after the movie was pulled from screens.
No, why?
I don't know.
We don't know. And that's just how the advertising team did it.
That's fucking weird. Okay.
Hopefully, whoever was marketing the movie got fired.
I would hope so. Go on, Hazel.
Sorry, I'm still like thinking about Icon as a city.
Well, have a fun spiel. Do you have your joy?
It's like, I don't know, like upon like my first time I was like, oh wow, this is such a nice city design wise, but like on the second time now that I'm watching it under like the lens of Snobservation, I couldn't help but draw like immediate parallels to Wang's Metropolis.
I need to see that still.
Oh, we need to fix that. And for those who are familiar with Bioshock Rapture,
I am fairly familiar because
yeah, it did kind of give Rapture vibes.
yes,
I am fairly familiar because as many a youngin, I watched the Markipliers and such as a wee one.
it's a wee little doll.
Yes,
But yeah,
yes.
it's very interesting that those parallels exist because if you know Metropolis and Rapture, they also have those very similar issues of class division.
Yes, the architecture almost like asks you to make that comparison.
Which also
And it
was a
doesn't-
nice, interesting detail in that, because we find that the city's underground. They don't just build the buildings from the bottom up. There are also buildings going from the roof of wherever they are going down.
That's so interesting. Like, it's genuinely an amazing city. I would love to see if they ever made like a blueprint map of the whole place.
Yeah, like especially like the architecture. I think that's Art Deco. That's an architectural style.
I'm not super familiar with architectural
I believe
styles,
so.
but I
Hold on.
think you're on the right path.
Hold on, Google Food save me.
Google, please. Google,
yes.
please.
Yes, Art Deco.
Art
I saw a
Deco.
lot of inspiration from that. Yeah, I guess yes.
Art Deco sways
Yeah,
into the very wealthy, rich space vibe quite well, I find.
But it also gives this like Art Deco's nice when it's like pristine, but Art Deco is also nice when it's run down.
It works well on both sort of like
It's a very
angles.
flexible aesthetic. Speaking of aesthetics, what also set apart was the clear like division between where the miners or the cogless are. I'm just gonna call the people without transforming cogless from now on because I don't want to say miners too much.
So we back in the mines.
Got our pickaxe went from side to side.
He knows that this is probably ringing my head every time he says that, and that's why he's like,
Yeah.
wow, I need to stop this from
Aw,
Priscilla. I need to hold Priscilla
man.
back.
Yeah, but there's like a very clear like aesthetical like difference between the Cogless and the Transformers. Not only do the Transformers are physically bigger and shinier, they can also, do the funny transform.
They can do the funny little magic trick for parties. Yes.
Right.
And they usually have like some form of like, I don't know if I should call it plating because it's technically their body, but they have plating that covers like their chest area.
Yes.
Something that covers their where their cogs.
They slot with their T-cog.
Yeah.
Yes.
The cogs almost have to. I hate to use this word, but this is how the government would see them. They almost are forced to display their deformity in comparison to the rest of the populace.
Though it's not sure if that's because the government made that way, or if because they didn't have a cog, they couldn't like grow into that.
Yeah, it's an interesting like visual cue to show that there is no way for them to hide what like their like disability, and it allows society to basically ostracize them more easily.
Yeah, I equated it to castration in that they don't have the necessary parts to allow them to grow.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, go on, Ruby. Let's continue the movie.
No, keep going.
Right. After a chase sequence that is lovingly animated.
God, yeah.
The animation.
We end at a train station. During around that end of the chase sequence, we find out this is more or less a weekly thing for Orion packs.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, "Oh no, what's going on?" And then they just see Orion. He's like, "Oh, it's just him again."
It's just another day at the office, anyways. What were you doing?
Which I kind of like. Because
Yes.
they're not like pointing him out to the cops much. They're actually just like, "Oh, this is just him." It's almost like, I know it's just passive bystander behavior, but it's also sweet that they don't feel the need to rat him out.
It's also because at the end of the chase sequence, the two security officers more or less just catch up without breaking a sweat, landing in front of him, and this is where we're actually introduced to the other half of this duo, D16.
Yes.
The future Megatron.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite tank.
He was so good in this movie. The voice acting superb. We haven't spoken on the voice acting yet, but it's also all incredibly amazingly, like very very well done.
Instead of Peter Cullen, who's usually Optimus Prime or Orion Pax, we have Chris Hemsworth. We got Thor doing it.
Yeah, and I will say, I think that our man Chris Hemsworth needs to be in more like experimental work. He's been kind of typecast as like the macho hot dude. I think he's made for like theatre and shit in his heart and soul and his actual skills. I think he really needs to be able to do fucked up weird stuff, and his agent is letting him down. And the Hollywood system is letting him down, and I'm glad to see him sort of branching out sort of in this to show his chops a bit in a variety of things.
Yeah. And D16 is voiced by Brian Tyree Henry.
I don't know Brian. What's
he had a guest role in the movie This Is Us. Or not movie, the drama television. He was also in the Atlanta series. What else? Godzilla vs. Kong.
He was Lemon in Bullet Train, if you did watch Bullet Train. For those who are familiar with Bullet Train, that one.
Oh no, I haven't watched enough things. Clearly, I'm failing as a snob.
And he voiced Jefferson Davis in both Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse.
Again, I'm failing. Chat, don't worry, I will fix this.
Either way, his voice acting is like amazing. It fits D16 so well.
Yes, I loved it
It's
so much.
Like
You can hear the fury and the passion.
the voice acting was at first view I didn't really expect much from the voice actors because
Wow.
these are act act like you like oh I see him now.
Azel caught in 4K.
Yes, but but as I watched it's like okay I see you both.
No, it's okay.
D16
I also
packs.
had the same worry. I won't lie. I just thought it was funny.
They did so good. Like the actors did good, and I think I hope that the direction was good as well.
It has to have been.
They did so good.
You could
Very good.
You can hear in like the first scenes with D16. Sorry, am I saying the right number? I think I am.
Yes.
D16.
Yes.
Okay, I'm bad with like names like that.
You can just call him D.
Oh, D. Big
Oh,
D.
D.
Our man Big D. You can almost hear the repressed emotions in him at the start.
Yes.
And and the movie is just him like very unhealthily removing that repression, but there's still repression in there. He's not allowing himself to cry and stuff, you know?
Yes, because in the first scene, he actually goes to lash out because he bumps into the guards, only to see, they're guards with transformation cog. D16 is also a mining pod with no cog.
Yeah, he has nothing to stand on when it comes to lashing out on that front.
Yes. We even see it with him, like, backing away. He's like, oh, whoop, sorry.
Yeah, he is,
And the guard... And he helps Orion get away from the guards, actually.
Yeah, he's
by
kind of
distracting them long enough so he can hide.
He's kind of cool in this moment. I had my eyes on him the whole time in a very serious way, as I was aware of who he was to become, and I want to see if there were like early signs of his underlying personal issues that would cause him to go on this path, which I found made the viewing experience quite fun.
It's very interesting when you're like sitting down and watching the origin story, because you know how those characters are gonna turn out. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah,
that
and
shit
it's a
happens.
matter of like, do they lay the bricks down well too? Like, are there like bricks at the start of the story? There should be. There should
And
be
I think
bricks
there
at
is
the
for
start.
both of them.
Yes, there are.
Because
Orion,
not long after,
yeah, sorry.
Because not long after, it turns out Orion hid in that mining cart that D16 was pushing. And after some back and forth, it's revealed that Orion was thinking about his friend and got himself a Megatronus Prime decal.
Yes, which was so cute.
That little
Because he knew Megatronus Prime was his favorite Prime.
It's his idol. It's
It's his
Oshi.
idol.
His Oshi.
That
His
l-
Kami Oshi.
Not the Oshi. But it's such a small scene, but it does so much for not only just the character and how the Decepticons got their insignia and all that, but it's just like
Right.
the act of hey, bro, I got you your favorite insert favorite item here. Bro, I got you your favorite trading card. Do you want this?
Yes.
It's such a relatable thing, and
It's so hype.
and I think the movie does an extremely good job translating things that from real life into a way that is more
It does, yes.
more fitting for their world.
Yeah.
Because when we were watching the film, they replaced swear words with their own swear words.
Yeah, like
Things like that.
glitch instead of the obvious
Yeah.
original word.
Yeah, and it's just so natural, but also in a way that isn't reaching into the uncanny valley of immersion.
A
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah, because Priscilla said in the animation, it's very easy to tell that these are just two guys shooting the
Yes.
crap and you're just walking around and,
They're
and
just two
chatting.
guys
They're
being
just
funny.
a lot of the time when you see these
Guys
little,
being
you
dudes.
see these little guys walking around, no matter what character they are, you're like, this is just a person. This is just a person. This director has just taken his camera into another world that is animated, and has just filmed these real people.
And of course, it also shows D16's somewhat, not selfishness, but his more violent nature. But it's played off as a joke.
It is, and normally
it's-
it is a goofy joke situation. For most people, it
Yes.
would be a goofy joke. But it's almost foreboding now we look back on it.
Yes, Orion tries to ask him what he would be if he transformed. Apparently a question asked often because D16 cuts him off and he's like, I would transform into a shovel and beat you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I yawned. That's
I
what
yawned,
sounded
it's okay.
funny.
No.
And then, I mean, later when he does transform, he turns basically into a tank with a big gun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
The
like,
most-
yeah, the
And
violence.
that's something I want to touch on in a bit once we get to that part.
Go on, Hazel.
Yeah, but it's I'll save like the tank analogy, like the tank analysis for later.
Oh, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's more on that than just, oh, he turned into a tank.
Yes, yes, of course.
But before that, we get into the actual action sequence of them mining, where it turns out they travel mainly via jetpack. And we meet Alita-1 for the first time, their superior.
Alita's interesting to me. She's an interesting character.
Yes, voiced by Scarlett Johansson.
Oh shit, really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't usually hear her that forceful and stuff these days.
And you can tell that she is kind of like a grizzled veteran in terms of mining. Because... there's just one thing I remembered is that, I made a note when I was watching some of the deleted scenes, and there was a bit where it said how she said something about always aiming to be a soldier. And it reminded me that in the actual movie she is always trying to rise the ranks, and I wonder if that like is something she still always dreamed of in the actual movie. Possibly.
Given the way she orders people around.
She's very obsessed about climbing the ladder, or like
She
worrying about
is. But she's obsessed with climbing it through subjugating others.
Sorry, woman.
No, you're fine. It reminded me very much of the girl bossification of the capitalist system, where like you have to be one of the guys in the way you treat others to climb. You can't like support your other women's.
Right.
It reminded me very much of that. I would have appreciated more of a direct discussion about her like views, but I understand they had limited time.
Yeah. It also shows that she's a real stickler for the rules.
Yeah.
And also that she doesn't think high of Orion Pax in one of the many references of the movie, where he says, Orion goes like, I think I got the power, and then, or no, I think I got the touch today, and he's like, and Lita's like, you don't have the touch or the power, which actually references Transformers' first movie back in 1986.
Yes, you said
which
this.
was, I believe, the debut song of You Got the Touch.
Such
you
a
got
good,
the touch.
such an amazing way to debut such a good song. It genuinely such a fun song.
Like I said, they did their homework with this movie.
They did, and I really appreciate Ruby that you were able to like give us all this insight on all the references I've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we need the Transformers expert in.
It's such a fun layer to everything.
Oh, you should see my friend. I got a friend who's been doing this a lot longer than me.
Oh, we love that for them.
Mm-hmm. They're the ones that got me into Transformers, actually.
Oh, that's lovely. I'm glad that you can share that passion with someone. I mean, obviously you're sharing passion with us, but we're outsiders. It's nice that you can share the passion with someone who gets it.
Anyway, it shows into an action sequence of them mining these blue glowing rocks, which actually turns out to be deposits of Energon.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like mentioned before, without the Matrix of Leadership, Energon can't flow. Sorry.
No, you're good.
And in that, we also see other characters. We see Wheeljack, we see Jazz, we saw RC for a bit. RC was that other female robot, pink and white.
Oh, yes, yes.
She was the one that was like, I love you, Sentinel Prime!
Oh no, delegated to fangirl mode. Many such cases for the woman's characters.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a recurring thing with her character, sadly.
Oh, poor lady.
More,
We need to
but it's mainly
rescue her.
because she does get like her time to shine in Transformers Prime. They like crazy redesign her
Oh.
to where she doesn't even look like the same character.
I don't know how I feel about that.
But she is still RC by name.
Okay. I do wonder sometimes if the redesigns are required to make a new character, but whatever.
Yeah. Right. And in this mining, they actually strike the Energon, the main vein of Energon, turning out to be unstable, causing the cave to collapse. Which, about the caves, they apparently form, like, in seconds, naturally.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because apparently, because Cybertron is an ever-moving planet.
Oh, yes.
True. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
okay,
yes,
no,
yes.
That does make more sense. Yeah.
It's funny that they
Yes.
like have that constant like instability in their mining as well because of that.
Now that you
And
mention, sorry, gonna cut in for a bit, but now that you mention like the whole like it shifts every second, that's why they have those.
Jetpacks.
I don't-
Yeah.
No, not jetpacks and the extendable.
and the supporting
support
rods.
beams. Yeah. That makes
Yeah,
more,
to keep
much
that
more
to
sense
keep
now.
it open.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But after striking the energon, it's almost like a reaction in that the cave doesn't like break down. It starts to close.
Yeah, it's kind of unhappy about that, them doing that. I will say that much.
Yes,
You
and
poked the
as they're
wrong
escaping, Jazz, the only other Autobot mentioned by name, even though he's a more of a background character, his leg gets caught, which then leads into the next kind of Optimus Prime moment for Orion Pax, in that he won't leave Jazz.
No, it was a
He
real.
breaks protocol.
It was a real hero moment, I will say. This is why we have regulations.
And the wise.
No, but in this case,
It's all good.
no, you first, Hazel.
In the wise words of how regulations are made, they're written in blood.
Yes, exactly.
Or John, in this case.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
you know.
in this case.
Energon is blood sometimes.
Yes, of course. In this, regulation said to just basically leave him to die. But Ryan's not about that, which shows Leader One also being a bit of a stickler for the rules.
Kind of mean, kind of unhelpful
much
in
of
this
a stickler,
situation. Kind of unhelpful,
Yeah.
not willing to like support the plan and like make it more effective. It's not a bad
Yeah.
plan. If he had more support at the time, he might have been able to do it without losing the leg. He might have been able to have more
Yes,
time.
but thankfully these guys are robots, so losing a leg, yeah, he can get a new one,
Yeah, it still
Yeah,
fucking
just
hurts
repair
though.
which he did.
It's so hard,
Yeah, but he did get a new leg by the end, if you noticed.
That's true. I do wonder about like phantom limb rejection, organ rejection situations in that sort of in that universe. But that's another story.
Yeah, that's another
Yeah,
story
it's-
for another time.
Especially if you bring in combiners, but that's a whole other can of worms.
It's a great can of worms in that.
Yeah, it's basically, to give a summary, it's basically a group of 5 Transformers combined to make like a very big one.
Yeah.
They're mostly seen in the G1 cartoon.
Oh yes. You gotta sell kid. You got to get the kids to buy all the things.
Oh yeah, no, like that's basically what cartoons back then were made.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It was just made to sell toys.
Yeah. They know what they were doing. But
Right.
yes, he does
After
manage
the-
to get him out of the mine.
Yes, and they're able to escape it by more or less the skin of their teeth.
It was
Causing a
fucking
support beam
close
to act-
one.
Yeah, causing one of those support pylon things to get shot out and break something.
Yeah.
Elita 1 blames Orion Pax, which, he kind of takes because, yeah, he broke regulation.
Partial
leads
loss
to-
on his part, also partial win because he kind of saved someone's life.
Yeah.
Right.
If the company cares more about like their money and their rank than their employees' lives, that's a red flag.
Or Energon in this case.
Well, you know.
Because immediately after, a Cybertronian by the name of Darkwing appears, and he's like, Elita 1, you're fired. This is all your fault.
You're demoted.
Darkwing's basically a secondary antagonist in this movie.
Eh,
He's doing a bit. He's
Yeah,
doing
kinda.
a lot. Yeah.
yeah, because he really hates minors.
He hates them kids.
It was a recurring joke between me and my friend. He was like, "Hey, Darkwing, what do you hate? What do you hate the most?" He's like, "Minors." But yes,
Not a big fan
uh,
of Minecraft.
No.
even though Optimus Prime, or Orion Pax, sorry, I keep defaulting to that.
No, I get
even
it.
though
I
Ryan-
was doing that in
No,
my
no,
brain
no,
a
no.
lot while watching the movie too.
Yeah. Even though Orion tries to take the blame, Darkwing's like, "Too bad, Elita 1, you're a trash bot now."
Oh dear. Yeah.
Waste disposal.
Yeah, and that really ticks off Elita 1.
I'm not surprised,
I'm not surprised at all. Yeah.
but she engages
Yeah.
in a bit of a crabs in the bucket sort of situation here, where she blames not
Yeah,
the person subjugating, but the people in her community.
Mm-hmm. Of course, this was the way. It's understandable because that's basically their way of life. For as we find out not too long after, is what is known as 50 cycles, or I guess what in human terms, 50 years, half a century.
Yeah. She's in there her whole life, maybe. I don't know how long they live.
Oh, they live for millennia. They're
but
theoretically immortal.
As long as they take care of themselves, do their beauty regimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. In theory, Cybertronians are immortal as long as they have power. Because, like I said, the civil war that happens after Transformers 1 takes place over 3-4 millennia?
Yeah.
Actually, not 4 millennia, 400 millennia.
Oh, it's longer.
Oh no.
It's basically the trope of the eternal war.
Yeah.
It's a war that is never going to end until one side is wiped.
The classic reference to the 100-year war or a Cold War or something like that, basically. And so she's really mad.
Yes. We don't see her for a bit, but we lead into kind of a downtime session. Where Orion and D16 are just kind of talking to shooting scrap, essentially.
Yeah, our boys...
Replacement word.
Yeah, our boys are, they're not mad, they're not happy.
Which leads into an announcement from Sentinel, who's back from a journey to the surface to look for the Matrix of Leadership, which, is missing, lost, disappeared.
Yeah. He's still got the rancid on him at this point in the movie. He's still rancid.
Yeah, but he was kind of like that Metro Man rancid, where he's like, oh man, I am your savior.
Yes, he was giving me very Metro Man vibes.
And he only gave that more in the later scene that we'll get to, but after that, basically all that talking about how they weren't able to find the Matrix and they had to come back for, resupply and such. It turns out, the next day, everyone gets the day off, except for Waste Management.
Oh no, Waste Management aren't people.
They get the day off for this whole major race, the Icon 5000.
Oh my god, the Icon 5000.
And this gets everyone excited. It's like a citywide marathon, essentially.
It's very much
Can we call it a marathon at this point? It's technically a race.
It's kind of Hunger Games coded. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
What is a marathon but a race?
She's got you there.
Well, legs?
Well, yeah, for human marathons, these are Cybertronians.
They have wheels.
Does
and
it?
engines.
Some of them fly.
Azel's trying to tell the robots what to do again.
Funny you say that, because I actually did put down in my notes that the Icon 5000 is literally raceist, because for those who can't transform, literally can't race.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the illusion. It's the illusion of upwards mobility.
Yeah, as we mentioned later, technically there's nothing in the rules stating that minors can't race. They just don't because they're completely outclassed.
Yeah, and people literally attack each other on this racetrack. They would die so easily.
This is an actual death.
It's very dangerous.
Magnets, turrets.
Players literally attack each other too.
Well, technically the turrets don't do damage, they make them untransform. Which, then causes them to plummet to their possible death.
Oh, you know. It's like when governments say, "Oh, we don't use force, but also we have to have these weapons on hand."
Well, in the middle of the night, Orion wakes up D16 from a sleep/recharge cycle, and takes him out onto the roof of their building, essentially, and he's like, "Hey, why don't we race in the Icon 5000?"
He was kind of cooking.
D, of course, thinks that Orion is crazy.
That's because D loves the rules and is kind of a bitch baby about this at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean, he's also understandable because they are going up against much faster and more competent opponents in the race.
Oh yeah, but they don't have to win. They can just race.
No, they didn't know that.
That's true.
So, yeah, it seems that D was able to talk Orion out of it. And here's where you can actually see some details. Well, seemingly talk Ryan out of it. But there's where actually you can see some details in that the pristine decal that was on Dee's shoulder is actually now a little more worn.
Yeah, because he does manual labor. He can't protect it from the elements. It's part of his situation, you know.
Mm-hmm. But still, it's amazing that they added that detail. They could have just left it there and nobody would notice.
Yeah, it's just such a lovely little. It shows a lot of heart and passion for getting things right.
Mm-hmm.
We love attention to detail in our films. Please, if you're listening, aspiring directors, do so.
Please.
Especially an animated one, because nobody ever expects it.
Yes. I mean, I know it's more expensive, and I respect that.
But it's so worth it.
If you're able to, please do.
Yes.
Well, and then we move on to the next day, where everyone's gathering to watch the Icon 5000.
Mm-hmm.
Orion takes D16 takes D on a detour. Say that 5 times fast.
D on a detour.
Yeah, it gets you to pause for a moment.
It's good. It's a good one.
But
It's good.
it leads into, I guess technically the first Chekhov's gun with those massive air vents that, quote, will blast you halfway across Iacon City.
Yes.
They're so wonderfully framed. They're like, yeah, look at us. We're these big fans. Look at us.
Mm-hmm.
We're literally big fans.
They're such big
Yeah,
fans.
D of course is annoyed because they're gonna be late until it's revealed where Orion took D. And they're inside the starting gate.
Yes, perfect seats.
Yes.
So they got it it's the front row of front row seats.
Yeah, he was like, I gotta make it up to you. Here's our cool seats.
And so after just some setup and everything, Sentinel Prime is announced, and he comes flying in he does that thing where he flies near the crowd, almost giving them high fives and such. And he's like, "Hey, haha, I'm an amazing person." Exactly.
I wonder what would have happened if someone flipped him off.
I don't know. I mean, he is set up to be what would be? I guess would be like a bit of a Jesus concept or something.
There's definitely a god complex somewhere.
A Jesus dictator, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah. And to be fair, he does quote unquote treat them fairly, even if he treats them by saying, yes, all you lovely miners who are helping us keep from losing Energon. When of course he doesn't give two scraps about it.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
He's very not fun.
He sets off my I fucking hate that guy radar.
He'll do that every time he's on screen in any of them, but it's a lot less. It's a lot less it's more like he's a piece of shit, but he's like a school. Yeah, he's in the most famous. He's basically more or less just kind of a schoolyard bully.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He does hit that mark a few times in the movie.
Yeah. And so after, a speech on blah blah blah, the mining bots are great, blah blah blah, he's like, "Alright, let's get this race started." And the glass that they're walking through turns yellow. And then as D16 is like, "Oh man, this is so excited," Orion puts a jetpack on him.
Yeah.
And he's just like, why'd you bring jetpacks?
What do you need a jetpack for, mister?
And Orion assures them that after this, everything will change. And then once it goes, they're dropped into the race.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah, they just get plopped in there.
It's like, oh, hi.
Orion is, riding adrenaline, enjoying this as they try and keep up with the others, who narrowly crash into them immediately, essentially.
Well, yeah, it's the start of the race. They're all going.
Yeah, and D is understandably pissed.
He's panicking as well. He's having a bit of a panic as well, to be fair.
Because Orion just kind of, dropped this on him, no pun intended.
This was kind of a dick move.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
I wouldn't have appreciated this either.
Yeah, if that was surprised on me, I would have. Like, you can't just drop me into the Daytona 500 expecting me to treat it as a foot race.
Right, it's fucked up.
Because they can't transform. They have to use jetpacks, and eventually they lose them.
Yeah, they just start jogging.
Of course, this catches everyone's attention, and instead of, like, police getting called on them, they, just put on the leaderboard, minors.
Yeah, propaganda,
knows
people. Propaganda.
I gotta get them viewers up.
Yep.
Because they technically didn't sign up for the race.
No, they didn't put their paperwork in at all.
Of course, they're now in the middle of the race, and they can't be like, "Hey, stop them."
No, that would like lose the crowd's favor. They can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to address.
But as the race goes on,
yeah. They'd have to.
Yeah, as the race goes on. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. It's me and you. We're having a tussle of words. You go on.
Right. But as the race goes on, D16 starts to, hit that adrenaline high.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, he's starting to feel it. He's starting to vibe.
Of course, then comes the first, I call it a honeycomb gate, because that's kind of what it looked like. That opened and closed.
Yeah, it kind of was like that.
And nearly killed multiple racers.
Yeah, it did.
It's a very dangerous race.
Yeah. If Homie tries to sign you up for the Icon
500,
say no.
5,000.
Say no. 5,000.
But again, it's not gonna help if they just surprise it on you.
Yeah, but like if you've got a choice in the matter, say no.
Make sure they have like a lot of waivers.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't race.
But after that obstacle, it was Orion that loses his jetpack, causing D16 to catch him and continue on the race until eventually D loses his jetpack, and it's like, oh, and the announcer's like, oh man, too bad.
No.
Let's get back to the real racers.
Yeah, they were trying to they were using them as a moment of propaganda, but as soon as they stopped being interesting, they're like, let's get back to what we really were here for.
Yeah. and then we hear the clicking of Chekhov's gun.
Mm-hmm.
As they look and see the exhaust fans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we smash cut to them being launched out of the fans and actually making it to third place.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm not surprised given how amazing those fans are, but still.
Mm-hmm. And everyone is going nuts because nobody expected a pair of mining bots to get this far in the Icon 5000.
No, exactly. It's wild.
They actually land on Dreadwing.
As he deserves.
Yeah, they do.
It's what he deserves.
Yeah. And also because that's how they're able to kind of keep up, only by riding on top of other racers.
Yeah, it's clever. I would fucking hate it if I was on those races. It would piss me off because I've been working on doing this race for months probably. This race is probably my whole life. It would piss me right off. But
yeah, understandably so.
Yeah, but it also reminds you of the whole having to step on people to reach higher ranks sort of thing.
Yeah.
That is like a perpetual issue within this society they have.
Mm-hmm. So, they start reaching the end of the race, and they actually make it into first place.
Yeah.
Because they reach an obstacle that was magnets, which you particularly said was kind of fucked up.
It was fucked up.
It's messed up.
They're robots.
It actually reminds me of something I missed to mention, is that in the initial announcement and the speech before the race, both times Sentinel says "more than meets the eye," which is the tagline of all Transformers.
Oh, that's true.
Robots
Yes,
in the skies, more than meets the eye.
Yes.
Yeah. They make it to first place. They're about to hobble over the line.
Because in the magnets, someone, I think, loses a foot, and it gets launched out and hits D16.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's rough. It's a real blow to his ego.
Mm-hmm. And,
Very fragile
to
ego.
his body.
Well, yes, but I think his ego is more important to him. I'm not gonna lie.
So, Ryan is helping him kind of limp their way to the finish line. And obviously, because they're on foot, they're quite slow.
Yeah.
But they're like, all their hopes are up, and they're like, yes, we're gonna make it. Only for the racer Chromia to get through and win.
Yeah. It was.
And
yeah. It was
and then
very much a sort of like, again, the whole like myth of upward like mobility.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh well, second place isn't too bad. Then they remember they haven't crossed the finish line yet.
And then someone goes right past.
And then a bunch of
everyone else.
Yeah.
Leaving them in dead last.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so after the celebration, they're in service bays, or well, basically the hospital.
Yeah, first aid area.
Which also holds another reference to the Autobot Ratchet. It's like paging Dr. Ratchet.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, who historically is basically the Autobot medic.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, he can fight, but, he prefers not to. But in this, he's just a doctor.
His tool set is more the medical sort of thing, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Heck, he's more often portrayed as being able to transform into ambulances.
Oh, that's cool as hell!
He's a very young character.
It's very cute. That's cute.
And we pan over to the surface bay. Orion and Dee are in, and Dee's like, and Orion's well, that wasn't too bad, and Dee's just like, oh, I'm not talking to you. And then proceeds to immediately start talking to him.
Because his ego has been, like, lifted up during this race, like, by his dear friend, and he was, like, very thankful. And then it was shattered by the reality of shattered by the realities of his society, and all he knows is lashing out to people in his community. He doesn't know how to fight back.
And so the two are bickering back and forth until I believe your favorite character, Arachnid, comes in.
I love her design. I love a spider bitch.
Oh, absolutely. All the eyes.
She's just so good. Spidery bitches are always just very fun.
Yeah, it's a very different iteration than her first and so far, I think, only iteration in Transformers Prime. She doesn't have like a whole bunch of arms or kind of like weird drone design. She had like 3 arms, a half spider design, and only transformed into a helicopter.
Oh, but there's like
and she was also a sadistic.
There's like a throwback in her transformation situation to the helicopter thing, though, I noticed.
Yeah. And her personality is different in that this one is just, kind of stoic, a little awkward. And the last one was a serial killer.
Oh.
I like that one. Can we see more of that one, please, Hasbro?
But yeah, she was like psychotic in Transformers Prime.
Oh, that's so fun of
And
her.
while in TF1, she's very loyal to Sentinel, who turns out that she's like his main bodyguard. And in the last one, she's almost as backstabby as any iteration of Starscream.
That's totally fair. I love a backstabby bitch. I identify with these women.
But right. Sentinel comes in and he's like, what you two did was completely insane.
Yeah.
And Orion and Dee are like, yes, but but I mean, like, only for a bit of a subversion. He's like, that was amazing.
Yep. He saw in
because
him
as it
tools.
he's stroking their egos because, as it turns out, even though it's the first shift of mining production is up like 150%.
Yeah.
They've already hit their quota and they're still going.
Yeah, it's almost like propaganda can be used of the oppressed and against the oppressed. Even when they don't mean to, the system can use like your like work against you.
Yeah, and it's kind of incidental because they never planned for that to be propaganda.
No.
But I mean, like, they were like, oh wow, this fell in our laps, might as well use it.
Exactly. A great deal of propaganda doesn't need to be planned, quite frankly. You just take advantage of the chances that come to you.
Right. So Sentinel is like stroking their ego, being like, oh man, you two are amazing. Okay, I gotta go back to the surface to find the Matrix of leadership. So, hey, how about you two go to my personal service bay and get care, right? Yeah. And after he and Arachnid leave, Dee and Orion are just tickled pink.
Mm-hmm. They're on top of the world.
Because Dee basically was basically talking to their hero. or
Yeah.
well, his hero. Of course, everything is then put into motion. Essentially, they're saying that if the running joke is that if Darkwing wasn't so racist, none of this would have
This would
happened.
have happened.
Oh,
Because
thank
Darkwing
Yeah.
comes in, he does his iconic miners, and then grabs both of them and sends them down to the previously thought non-existent sub-level 50.
50.
And he's like,
Yes.
nobody will ever know you're here. Nobody will ever know that you exist anymore. And then leaves.
Yeah, Darkwing is really like the fucking giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, where he's like, fee fi fo fum, I smell a miner in my vicinity.
Yeah. And it's said it's because he was humiliated because of his loss in the race.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which actually brings back to what you mentioned, in that many of them were being ridden on by them and basically being dragged down because they were
Yeah.
basically used as stepping stones.
Yeah, and the people in power don't like when the oppressed use their like favorite tool against them, you know. That's what they do. You're not allowed to do that.
Wait, that's illegal. Only I can do that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And once Darkwing leaves, they look around, wondering where the heck they are.
Yep.
They're at a trash incinerator, and here we meet the fourth. I think the term is deuteragonist.
It might
don't
be like
Yeah,
like
deuteragonist, yeah.
additional protagonist,
yeah.
basically.
Yes.
Yeah, we meet the fourth. We basically meet the fourth of the group, B127, who first comes off as scary because his voice is deep and he has like this red line for an eye. When it only turns out it's just a mask.
Yeah, he forgot to take his mask off, guys. Which honestly, he shouldn't have taken his
Subtle
mask off.
foreshadowing.
Masking is like so important these days. He should have kept the mask on.
Well, it's a literal mask.
I know.
Because as it turns out, he's actually a very sociable guy. Tends to talk too much,
Yeah.
and probably has been down there for maybe 40 years.
Yeah, he's very much socially starved.
Because after, his excited introduction to them, introducing himself as B127 or B or
Betasatron.
he opens to what is essentially his bedroom and 3 quote-unquote bots he made out of scrap.
Yes.
I forget the first one. There was Aa-tron. Aa-ron?
Yeah, a reference to Aaron, because B is indeed voiced by Keelan Michael Key.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. That's fun.
Aaron. Sorry.
and
I'll
then-
stop myself from going there.
And then Steve.
Yep, Steve.
Steve.
I am Steve.
Steve. Okay.
Steve.
We're not covering Minecraft when we get that out.
No. We're editing the. Actually, that's one of the few things we're editing out. Thank you.
But yes, he basically explains everything, that he's been down there for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's not actually sure because he can't count the day cycle because he's who knows how many miles underground.
Well, yeah, it's hard to tell the time when you've got no clocks with like timepieces or anything. It's actually like a
And all
form
he
of
does is-
psychological torture to not let people know what time is passing.
He was basically in solitary confinement until Orion and D16 got sent down
Solitary
there.
confinement, not even with like a window to see the sun. It's actually fucking terrifying what they did
The
to
only
him.
thing he can do is just stare at garbage.
That's literally what the system wants of us.
So after the introductions, and B being like, yeah, these are my pals, you can sleep here, blah blah blah. He taps Steve, and Steve starts to actually make sounds, because afterwards they were like, no, they can't talk. What, do you think I'm crazy?
Yeah, he's like, come on, man, I may be a bit nuts, but I'm not that nuts.
Orion tries to see what's going on with inside the head of Steve,
Because it's
accidentally
interesting.
breaking Steve in the process.
Orion's a curious guy. He likes looking at things.
He also has an
And as it turns-
habit of breaking things.
Well, Steve was very, very weak, okay? He was on his way out. We can't be too mad. It was almost like euthanasia if you think about it.
Yeah.
That actually reminds me, there was actually a different post-credit scene where B actually returns to Sublevel 50 to go off to his quote-unquote friends,
Oh no.
and accidentally kills all three. Kills all three with his knife hands.
No, I fucking hate that. That is actually so mean. Why would they do that to him?
Well, he fixed him. Well, he fixed Steve once. He can do it again.
That's so mean to him though. They made him kill his pals. That's fucking torture. They can't stop doing this to our boy.
Yes. Surprisingly, after the release, people who saw it, they really did not like B.
What?
But yeah, how I actually kind of saw it is that he kind of equates to me in that he can't pick up on social cues and stuff.
Oh,
Kind of like an autism
hating on the
coded character.
They're hating on the us autistic bitches once again.
Sort of, but he's also almost vital to what's going on, because if he hadn't saved that piece of garbage that had what was essentially a SOS message and tracker to the Prime's last known location, none of this plot would be happening.
His kindness and desperation for socializing really shone through, and I think that was like key to him saving those robot parts. Really, if you think about it, like his actual personality traits helped kick things off.
Which actually begs the question where those robot parts came from, but that's never explained.
They probably came from the trash chute. I'm not gonna lie.
True, but I mean, like, what were they a part of in the first place?
I
those
like
just
to think
discarded body parts.
I like to think the messenger bot was like one of the corpses from the battlefields that was deemed like useless.
Maybe. But with that, they basically have a map to the last known location of the Primes and maybe to the matrix of leadership.
Yes.
So Orion is like, we should go. D is like, no, we shouldn't.
Which is hilarious because he's literally in hell. I don't want to leave hell, guys. I like it here. We're fucked up enough.
Yeah. And Orion is basically like, then starts schmoozing up his wants to impress Sentinel. D picks up on it and he's like, I know what you're doing, and it's working.
It's working.
He's like, okay, buddy, you've convinced me. Let's go.
Fine.
You're so good
And
at
so they ask B,
his charisma
and then they ask
stat.
B.
His charisma
Yeah,
stat was
they
too
asked-
high.
But like I said, D was able to pick up on it, and he was like, but he was still like, yeah, you know what, screw it, let's go.
Yeah.
So they ask B how the heck they get out of there. B's like, oh yeah, it's easy. I know a way, but it's not gonna be easy.
Up.
I
and
get
they
that.
start
I understood
They
that
start
statement.
climbing the trash chute.
I understood that statement though so vividly. I was like, he said it's easy initially because like it's a very clear path, but it's not easy because the task actually sucks. That makes
Yes,
sense to
because
me.
the entire time there's garbage raining on them.
Like the combined way of him saying it's easy and not easy is like made sense to me. Like it wasn't like a total joke to me. I completely got it.
Yeah,
I kind of love
because
that.
the way up is pretty much right there.
Mm.
The only problem is they have to climb up 50 levels of garbage
Yeah.
falling on them.
Yeah, it's rough.
Of course, they do eventually make it to the waste management trains, which lead to the surface.
They have options. They're out.
Yeah, they made it out, and they sneak onto the train easily, where they eventually actually reconnect with Elite 1. And by reconnect, I mean they try to hide as she comes back in.
Yeah.
She sees that someone has snuck in and is like, oh man, this is my chance to go back to my old position. And while
Yeah.
B and Orion hide, once again, D's violent nature shows in that he immediately tackles her.
Yeah. He constantly thinks that like the violent solution is the only one.
Right. Of course, she's able to fight them off, showing off, honestly, she has incredible acrobatic skill.
Yeah, she's fucking cool as hell.
All those years of mining.
Hey.
She goes to try and leave the train, only for the train doors to close on her and the train starting to move.
I wonder if it's all the mining or if it is down to like what she was before her core was taken out, her cog, you know?
To my knowledge, she was one of the many who believe that they just never had a cog in the first place.
So
No, I know, but like what she was built for the cog, you know?
Right, yeah.
Like the biological disposition, you know?
Yeah. And so as the train's moving, Alita's trying to find a way to get to the front so she can redirect the train manually, because these trains are automated.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes through this whole set piece of B, Orion, and D chasing Alita, eventually going into a vertical chase, which was amazing.
Yeah, that was wild. I loved that.
Yeah, because, like, it was it didn't just snap to them being vertical, it was a slow change.
Yeah, it was gradual. It was good.
And it showed that the boxes are actually locked down magnetically, because she presses in before the confrontation, she presses something and all the boxes have lights that turn red.
Yes.
And as it turns out, it's because they're magnetically locked into place.
Yeah, it
even
was...
showing that she manually unlocks one to try and chase them off their tail.
It was a great detail. It also shows that because she has she has it clear. I don't think she's done this role before she was a minor. She's clearly quick at learning, which is really cool too. She's quick on her feet.
Mm-hmm.
She's a quick learner, which is really a cool detail.
But eventually they make it to the surface, and all of them are awestruck because this is the first time they've seen the surface.
Beautiful landscape. Oh my goodness.
It was stunning. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah, and the sun actually reminded me of, like, have you ever seen those purple 80s synth covers?
Vaporwave sun.
Vaporwave,
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because it really reminded me of that.
I can see that 100%. It was beautiful.
And the fact
And it also showed off.
Sorry, and the fact that there's you mentioned that Cybertron is an ever-changing planet because it's actually alive. We could see that happening in real time because
I was going to mention that you could see, like, small clips being formed in real time.
Yeah.
The cliff faces.
He's not letting his muscles get stiff, bro. He's always moving.
Gotta keep moving.
And so Orion finally gets to explain why they're trying to go to the surface. Alita still kind of ticked off about her demotion.
Girl holds a grudge.
She says that she still wants to, like, turn the train around, but D cuts them off and tells them, "Hey, is that mountain getting closer or is it getting bigger?"
And I was like, both.
And then we and then we learn not only why the trash is magnetically locked down, but why nobody goes to the surface. And that it is incredibly dangerous. Because the mountains are basically trying to destroy the train somehow. Cutting it off, causing it to crash. It even loses a car.
I kind of like... Because the planet is like a living guy. I kind of hypothesized to myself while watching this, where I was like, this guy has been living... Watching what Sentinel Prime has been doing with this whole time. I do wonder if he is actually trying to stop him in his own way.
Oh yeah, never thought about that actually.
Because he would fucking hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I genuinely think that, like, he's definitely still alive, obviously, and he would do what he can to stop the continued subjugation.
Eventually, they're all thrown off the train because the ride gets a little too turbulent, and Alita gets knocked out.
Yeah,
she eventually wakes to Orion. She eventually awakes to Orion's face, to which she immediately punches.
Very fair. I would also punch someone who had their face that close to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's spooky.
And so after once again explaining that they have a map, Alita's like, "No, you don't," until Orion cuts her off by showing her the map. So still rightfully ticked off, she takes the map, angrily explains that she will be navigating, and if this leads to nothing, she will drag all three of them back to Iacon, and they will explain everything in a way that will make her look very good.
Yeah.
Because, she's still focused on that upward momentum.
She also, I believe, takes the map because she's desperately looking for, like, some sense of control in this situation that she is, like, has no control over.
Yes.
Yeah, no, she did not want to be there in the first place.
No, yeah, she's definitely a woman who likes to have control and is more comfortable in that situation, in that, like, state. So taking the map allowed her to feel a bit more at ease, I bet.
Yeah. Eventually we do a fade cuts to the next scene where we watch... Wait, no. they start walking, and then B is introducing himself to Ep.1, and does Badassatron.
Badassatron.
And
We have to say it every time. It's the
Just kind of
rules.
Yeah.
just kind of explaining who he is because they have never met.
Yeah.
And Alita's like, yeah, okay, stop talking.
She's busy. She's a busy woman. You can't be talking at
She's
her.
on a mission.
She is so
And
focused.
of
She's
course-
locked in.
And of course, B does not stop talking.
Because he's socially
There's a good-
starved.
But then we do the fade cut to the next scene to what looks like a destroyed city covered in the term from previous iterations of Transformers would be technorganic plants.
Organic material is good enough, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah, but still they have like this technical feel to them in that they almost kind of look like circuitry if you look at them right.
Yeah, I tried to. I was too busy taking in the details of everything that was going on in front of me.
Yeah,
But
it's another one of those blink and you'll miss it details.
Yeah, I believe you though. I believe you. I know how much you care about this shit.
Yeah. And as they come across this seemingly destroyed and abandoned city, they see the Robo Deer.
Yes, the deer!
The Robo Deer.
We fucking love those things.
I love their design so much.
They're so cool.
Especially when they act as an early warning system to an incoming threat.
Yeah.
And that threat being the Quintesson ships.
Yeah, okay, so, like, what's going on there is it's a reference to when deer's, like, the ears just go straight up when they're alert and they realize that, like, they're trying to figure out if there's danger around themselves. And then if they put the ears straight up and then run away, they've decided there's danger. Like, this is a very clear, like, animal behavioral reference, which I enjoyed.
Yep. And the Quintessons are basically the enemies of Cybertron because they also want Energon. For some reason, it also fuels them.
The icky bugs, guys. The icky bugs. Oh no.
The icky organic bugs, but I gotta say, their design is perfect.
Personally, it felt they were a bit more of a hybrid between insect and crustacean.
They were kind of crustacean-y, yeah. Especially that one guy. Especially that one guy at the front.
Yeah, the one with the tentacles.
Yeah, he was crustacean-y. Yeah.
But yeah, the Quintessons didn't always look like that. That's their view. That's their design for this.
Yeah.
Originally, they're just like this floating head with 4 faces, each one with a different personality.
Which
And,
I'm
you
not
know,
sure
just-
that would have clicked with the tone of this one.
Yeah, and just had a bunch of tentacles.
Yeah. They're kind of for this movie they're like a driving force more than an antagonist.
Right.
Yeah.
Because 50 cycles ago, they were in war with the Quintessons.
Yes.
And so, as they're going through the city, they find that the Quintessons are scanning for life, essentially. And it's shown what happens when they do find something like that.
Yeah.
When a deer got obliterated.
Yeah, it was kind of overkill, but it's what they
No,
do
the-
apparently.
Yeah.
No matter
They
what.
used excessive force on that deer.
They see like
like they-
a tail twitch
it's
and
like-
they go rah.
Yeah, it's basically someone. It's basically looks like someone went hunting with a frag grenade.
Right, it's fucking weird. I get why they do it, but it's also wild.
Just one deer lands in the scanner. Boom.
Yeah. I don't know.
And so they're scanning. the city for whatever reason. And so Alita, D16, B1, B, and Orion are doing their best to hide basically under structures and get away from those scanners.
Yeah, they're trying to make it out alive, basically.
And in another Orion moment, he's able to think quick and actually stop underneath a
Yes.
underneath a
Beam.
I guess it would be like a
Beam.
beam, pipe, whatever. Because B tripped earlier, and they were just about to get caught when he thought quick and stopped both himself and B in their tracks to hide from the scanner.
It was
Yes.
so fucking good. I loved his I loved the like display of his quick thinking in the moment. It was like a continuation of his quick thinking in the mines when he saved fucking Jazz. Was it?
Pax
Mhm.
is a
Yeah,
very
Jazz.
Yes.
scrappy and resourceful individual. And
It's
gets
not
him
just
out of
that
so
he's
much
scrappy,
situations.
he's just very quick on his feet too. Like that's not an easy skill to have. That's very much something that you're either born with or you like spend rigorous hours teaching yourself.
And it's not sure if that he's born with it or just all his time in the mine.
I do think it's something he was born with because it suits him very much.
Yes.
And so after the scanners go by, they continue walking until they get to the cave with teeth.
Ah, I love this cave. I love this
teeth
cave so much.
The cave of teeth.
Yeah. It's the end of the map, so Alita hands the little chip thing back to Orion.
She's having a nice.
And everyone starts. Yeah, and they all start walking in, and B, shockingly being the only one with some form of ration, is like, "Are you sure we should go into the scary cave with teeth?" Unfortunately, like most horror protagonists, nobody listens to the one with sense.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
it worked out for them this time.
Yeah,
it worked out for them this time.
It was almost like a red herring of a thing to have the cave have teeth. It was quite funny to me.
Yeah, and it was fortunate because they go in and they find corpses.
Mini
corpses.
Our favorite prize.
Corpses of Quintessons and the 13 primes.
We love when we walk into a cave and see corpses,
So yeah, they're looking around. D, Alita, and Orion have like their headlamps on, which is actually built into them.
Yeah.
And they're looking around and just seeing all these corpses, and they're in shock.
It's a lot of dead people.
Especially D, who finds the decapitated head of his hero, Megatronus.
Yeah. That was fucked up. That really shook him. And
they can tell that they have been dead for a long time because they're all covered in plants and debris.
Yeah, they're getting that like corpse putrefaction situation on them.
They eventually find
Oh, so carry on, Hazel.
No, they've been there for a while. Do we have an accurate time frame of how long they've been gone, or has
most likely the entire 50 cycles since the Matrix of Leadership disappeared.
Okay, yeah.
Over 50 years, then, yeah.
50 years, yeah.
That's a long time.
They eventually find the corpse of, I think his name is Solus Prime. I don't remember which one it is. They're all, most of them ended in Prime, and they all kind of blur together.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say because I'm not an expert on the situation.
Was it Nova Prime? I think it was Nova Prime, and he's the one who actually had the Matrix of Leadership in his chest, where his T-Cog would be. So they look in, it's not there.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Oh great, we came here for nothing." But they keep looking around for some form of hope, and they find it in this flashing light in a pile of rocks. And uncovering it, they find a deactivated, but still very much alive, Alpha Trion.
Yes, I love this fucking guy!
Oh.
I love this guy.
Yeah, he's like the wise old sage.
He's very cool for a guy like this.
So, they realize, hey, he's not dead, he's just powered down. So B, who had a stash of Energon cubes with him, opens up his little stash and puts one in his mouth. Because that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Which causes Alpha Trion to go back to his original, it's power back on. And so he kind of flicks back in, and then for him it's basically like he goes back to those 50 years until he realizes time has passed.
Yeah, it's almost like they're having to break him out of a flashback.
Yeah.
It's quite traumatizing, honestly. I feel for the guy.
But after kind of catching him up and letting him know that they have to mine for Energon, which completely blindsides Alpha Trion, they're like, "Don't worry, you can help us find the Matrix of Leadership, and then we can get it to Sentinel Prime, where it's revealed Sentinel is not a Prime."
The way I was shocked and aghast, chat.
Yes.
My goodness, what a twist!
And so Alpha Trion explains, as his memories basically come back through an amazing show of animation.
I fucking love
using all these dust particles. Using all those
animation.
The pretties.
It's so good.
Basically showing history in motion. It turns out that Sentinel, who was basically their secretary or something.
Yes, he was their politics guy, I think. He was their politics guy.
Yeah, got secret intel that Quintesson leaders were going to be meeting in that cave.
Oh,
And so
yes.
they went, all 13 primes went to ambush them. But they got there and realized, oh, no, we're the ones being ambushed.
Yeah,
As
it was a
Quintessons
trap.
then started to flood the caves. Of course, they were actually holding themselves pretty well against those guys, against the Quintessons. It wasn't until Sentinel appeared and, stabbed them.
Yep.
Because it reveals that he betrayed pretty much all of Cybertron. He decapitated Megatronus, he stabbed many of the primes and got them into their current positions in states of deadness. Because he made a deal with the Quintessons, to give them Energon while he gets to basically live like a king. He even said to Nova Prime who asked why he's doing this, and he's just said, for all the power in the world.
Yeah, he's a greedy cunt, basically.
Yep.
So he pries open Nova Prime's chest and grabs the Matrix. And Alphatron explains, yeah, that's not gonna fly, because Primus chooses who holds the Matrix, and Sentinel is not worthy. And so the Matrix quite literally disappears before his eyes,
The little piss baby
causing
didn't get
Energon to
his,
stop flowing.
the little piss baby didn't get his prize. He's so sad.
Yeah. And during all this, we can see that B, Dolita, and Orion are shocked, but D, he is royally pissed.
His entire
Because-
world shattered at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
But even more so when they go outside to see the evidence even more. In that multiple Quintesson ships, and even, I guess what I would call a Quintesson mothership,
They did, yeah.
land nearby. And Sentinel Prime, Arachnid, and a bunch of drones came out with trains, the waste trains.
Yes, this is where the trains are going.
Mm-hmm. And instead of, and even they're all still holding on to a little bit of hope that Sentinel will, attack them or something. Until they all see him kneel.
Yeah.
Because he has pledged his allegiance to the Quintessons. And this gets them very, or at least gets D very mad, to where he almost reveals their position to the ever-observant Arachnid.
Yeah, she's
She
locked
has
in.
eyes everywhere.
She is locked in. She doesn't let anything slip past her.
And so, it's revealed that the waste was actually large energon cubes that they're giving to the Quintessons because they need to uphold their end of the bargain.
Yep.
Which they don't have enough yet.
Yeah, the Quintessons are
And-
mad.
Oh, they're very mad.
And puts Sentinel into a familiar position for those with unique tastes. But then after this, and basically the reveal that Sentinel is just a royal douchebag. We go back into the cave where D is he is on a new level of angry.
I honestly get it, but he is not
Where he's
directing it
basically-
well.
Yeah, he's crushing that badge that the miners wear.
I would do that too.
Mhm.
That's very fair.
In the talk with Orion, where D blames Orion because he just wouldn't follow protocol.
Yeah, he keeps doing this, and it's one of his big issues where he's just blaming the people in his community over the actual subjugators.
Yeah.
Because
'Cause
it's so much easier to
basically
take
he-
shots at the person next to you.
And it's saying he would rather have been subjugated than actually known all this.
And yeah, this is something that people do. This is something that happens with people when they find out
Yeah,
about what
the
the
crab bucket.
oppressors do to themselves, do to to people. They blame the person who told them. It's unfortunately a pretty common situation.
Which leads to what I say is one of the most iconic scenes of Transformers 1. Oh, don't you want to stop him? No, I want to kill him!
Kill him.
Which we were all
Just the
cheering.
silence and the echo is just
We were all kind of
Love
cheering
it.
and we were all kind of cheering and like going, yeah, I also want to kill him, but also we were like,
go off D16.
go off King, but also please love yourself, love your community.
Yeah,
Do
and
both.
like I mentioned, that scene has gotten some pretty decent mileage online
As
for
it
anyone
should.
who just, yeah, certain situations in the real world going on otherwise. But yeah, this is basically his major Megatron, the shift from D16 to Megatron.
Yeah, this is where he stops. I mean, he's
Like, in
never
the
as
beginning,
a
it was kind of
character.
like
He's never as a character been able to see the other perspectives of people, and has always been quite self-centered. But this is where it gets scary.
Yes, because whereas before it was kind of like a slight decline, from this point, it takes a nosedive.
And I will say, this the way him and Orion's relationship develops throughout the movie reminds me a lot of Curly and Jimmy from Mouthwashing.
Right, yeah.
The lack of awareness that Orion had to his friends' like problems and his dangerous personality traits. It reflects greatly in the relationship. Like, clearly they met very different ends. Curly didn't turn out as well as Orion did. But the lack of awareness of the dangers that people you have that you call your friends and your allies, the lack of awareness of who they actually are can undermine so much of your life.
Like, how I see it is that he chalks it up to maybe this is just him lashing, that Orion just thinks that this is him lashing out and he won't actually do it.
Yeah, his naivety and almost complacency in his friends' actions is a major issue.
Right. And so, after that part, it's then revealed, because Alpha Trion was watching them, and he's like, during the whole, I want to kill him scene, he's looking at D, he's like, you're a little crazy, but you kind of got a point?
You're crazy about it. You're like, not doing it in a healthy way, but you're right.
like he's got the wrong vibe, but he's got the spirit.
Yeah. He's like, okay.
And then this is where he reveals that no child of Cybertron is born without a cog,
And
which
this
then reveals to them,
is so big to me.
then reveals to them that, to put it in the joking way, that Sentinel created classism.
He did, yeah.
But in the
he did.
But in the technical way, he basically, removed a part of them, a vital part of them.
He disabled them in such a way that they can never escape their societal situation.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. It reminds me of this one movie.
Yeah?
It's what reminds me of this one movie. I haven't seen it perfectly, but it was like this mom that was giving her child medication to purposely keep her sick.
Munchausen by proxy is the condition that was displayed in that scenario. It's a real medical condition that women, well, not just mothers, but various people who make people with them ill to garner attention.
It wasn't, though. It's mostly used for people who like, oh, she just wants to get the medicine so she can use it recreationally instead of its original intention. But yeah, Sentinel basically disabled people to create this subjugation and class division.
Yeah, which was,
of course, this
immensely fucked up. Almost a eugenics angle to it, honestly.
Yeah,
It's heavy stuff.
Yes, and as a reminder, this was marketed towards children.
The marketing team did not know what they were doing. They saw kids'
That or
toy.
they didn't care.
Well, yeah, no, it's an animated movie. That's the likelihood of that being the reality of it is high, unfortunately.
So of course, this now gets all of them angry, well, except for B, because he's a small bean. Innocent.
B is still processing everything that's just happened in the last 5 minutes.
B is doing their best.
B is still processing
Yes.
everything that's changed in his life within like a day. Okay, he's processing a lot
But-
going on right now.
Yeah. However, Alpha Trion goes on a speech saying that it's not really the cog that makes a transformer, it's their spark, which is like their soul, their spirit, their being.
Yeah, which is very cool.
But
very cool.
But he allows the four to take the transformation cogs of Alchemist, Micronus, Solus, and I think it was Quartz Prime,
I think.
and gives them to them. And gives them to D, Alita, Orion, and B, which
Yeah.
causes them to, well, kind of go through a growth spurt, essentially.
They got their
Changing
tea.
them to where... Yeah, they got their tea.
The pharmacy finally
They're
opened.
transformed.
The pharmacy finally
And not
opened.
only-
They got their refill.
And not only do they, grow larger, gain the ability to transform, and, get kind of like sleeker designs that kind of add in the...
The charm, the power.
Yeah, it's technically called the kibble,
The kibble.
which is like,
The kibble?
to fully explain, it's more reference to the toys where it's like the leftover parts that they can't actually hide for their vehicle forms.
Oh, right. Every
Okay,
time I hear the word kibble, I think of like dog food or something.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah, no,
sorry.
I fully understand. I had
first
the
time
same
I've heard
thought.
the word kibble.
I swear you've told me about kibble before, but I just immediately my brain goes dog food. What?
Dog,
Uh,
bark, bark.
But they also, basically gain a new coat of paint. All that damage and wear is gone, except for the Megatronus decal on D's shoulder.
It's almost like he
Yeah.
wanted to keep that in his soul. He
Actually, I
wanted
don't-
to remember.
Actually, it's because it's not part of his original body.
Oh, shush. I'm getting thematic, babe. It's okay.
Yeah. Then it turns out that Arachnid tracked down where they were, and Alpha Trion's like, "Hey, get out of here! They're about to hit. They're about to
They're
swarm
about-
this place."
They're about to hit. I'm not gonna make that joke. I'm so sorry.
Of course, Orion is like, "Wait, we can't leave you." But Alpha Trion is like, "I have waited 50 years for this.
Give
Let me have this."
Let the man have his moment, okay?
Fly, you fools.
Yes, exactly.
And so they flee. And Alpha Trion is faced off against a group of drones.
He's like,
And
finally.
then this is where we realize the title of what is basically a demigod to them was not just a title, because he's able to take those drones out with basically no effort,
Yeah, guy was fucking it up.
transforming. And it's unique in that he doesn't transform into a vehicle, but to some nebulous beast with a horn.
It looked almost
They're not-
lion-like.
nobody's-
It looked almost lion-like to
It's
me.
like some weird lion unicorn hybrid thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, then Arachnid gets into the picture, and with her many legs, is able to subdue Alpha Trion because she is ruthless.
He
Basically,
can't.
gave him no chance to attack.
He can't match up to a bad bitch attitude, unfortunately.
And he is
Oh yeah, but
like old.
bad bitches can be old. He just isn't that bad of a bitch.
Yeah. And so we cut back to the our quartet of Transformers fleeing, with drones now seeing them and firing on them. And they're like, "Wait, we have transformation cogs." And they're like, "All right, let's transform." How do we do that?
That's a good fucking question, babes. How do we do something we've never done before while also running for our lives?
And so they're kind of able to get the motion started, but they're all kind of struggling.
Yeah, they're a bit
Orion's-
distracted.
Orion's head folds into his body, and now he's running around blindly. One of D's legs turns into a tank tread, but it's all pointed, and he's like kind of ballet walking on it.
It's very silly.
It's interesting to know that I think that's the same leg that got injured during the Icon 500.
That's a cool detail.
I think so.
Muscle memory sort of situation, maybe.
Yeah.
Funny
Alita 1 grows a pair of wheels, and she's kind of like wildly spinning out and such.
She kind of gets
B
it
is
in the
the-
groove. Yeah.
B's the one that gets the furthest because most of his body turns into a car, but he still has his limbs.
It's very
So he's
silly.
like,
It's
"Wheels?
almost
I need wheels."
It's almost cursed, honestly. It was kind of fucked up to see. This car can
I think that's
run.
I think that's a reference to how many people who own like the Transformers figures kind of put them into this half-transformed state. Like there's one with
You're right.
many Optimus figures where they just transform into the truck head, but he still got the legs.
That's so funny.
Kind of make him look a bit like an Amogus.
That's very cool. I like that. Another silly reference.
They then de-transform and, you know, get back to normal. And then after a cool explosion shot, they finally do properly transform. Alita into some kind of cycle, Optimus, Ryan into, well, a truck, D into this very sleek-looking car, but, you know, the wheels came in a little late because it got stuck in the mud. But D fully transforms off-screen, so we don't see his full form until he saves Alita, B, and Orion from a drone that they didn't see with a tank cannon shot.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want to get into what I mentioned earlier about their forms.
Yeah.
The forms don't come from the T-Cogs. So if they had their original T-Cogs, you know, they weren't ripped out, they still would have transformed into those vehicles.
That's true. It was the cogs weren't like telling them how to transform. Their spirit does.
It was
Their spark.
right.
It lets them the cog just lets them do it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which also then reveals more again to D's more violent nature. He's the only one that kind of transformed into something that natively has weapons.
Yeah, an actual military style vehicle.
Yes.
In comparison to just something that drives.
Yeah. And D is like excited. You know, they're all running on adrenaline after shaking off those drones. Well, more killing them.
Yeah, he gets into the adrenaline phase and stages of things quite easily. He's very easily like swayed by his like hype emotions. They get to him quite easily.
And so Orion goes to check on the map to see where they need to go, but D grabs it. And what I missed mentioning is that Alpha Trion put in a bunch of the particle sand stuff that showed, you know, Sentinel being a traitor. And so Orion is like, "Whoa, careful." Alright, it is in there, and D turns around and in a very threatening way, he's like, "I got it."
Yeah, this is he's getting on a bit of an ego trip, and he's never gonna come down from it.
And you could actually see what I mentioned before during the watch is that his eyes go from that, you know, bright honey yellow to something more of a amber.
Yeah.
This is where
and after some walk,
it's very sad.
This is where we see the slow transition to the iconic Megatron red eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is where it starts.
And after some walking, they see basically where they can get into Icon City, but they're ambushed by these stun darts. And beforehand, they were talking about it was Orion and D talking. Orion trying to make sure that D's okay because, you know, his whole worldview was shattered, and D's like, "Yeah, I'm fine, whatever." Blah, blah,
He's
blah.
trying to be a good mate, yeah.
Sorry. But then they're ambushed by basically shock darts, which does this amazing effect of causing the screen to glitch.
Yes!
Because their
I
optics
fucking
are
love
freaking
that! I fucking love
the
that! Amazing choice.
And it seems that they don't wake up until the darts are removed.
That makes sense too.
Which reveals them to be in what looks like the ruins of a ship with more Cybertronians, but these are usually what are called Seekers, the ones that fly. Because these are the Cybertronian High Guard.
Yes.
And for anyone that was watching the movie...
Kind of insane.
Sorry. And for the ones that watch the movie, they will instantly notice these aren't just the High Guard, they are the eventual Decepticons.
Yeah, these guys are kind of insane, and they're not doing okay mentally.
Yeah, they're kind of like, you know, whole frat bro, everything's about, ooh, buffness.
More than that, they're also very much like, the egotistical trips of, God, I'm getting even worse.
Starscream?
No, the egotistical
D16.
trip of extremist, right-wing groups is definitely seen in them.
But to be fair, they did basically lose everything they were supposed to protect, and now they're kind of stuck basically being terrorists.
Yeah, Priscilla, bring up rearward politics. Challenge impossible.
Now, I do want to correct something that I said in the watching. Starscream was not voiced by Gary Busey. He's voiced by Steve Buscemi.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
my bad.
No, it's okay. Happens to the best of us.
So, the three of the group are wondering, hey, who the heck are these guys? And and B is gagged. Because apparently, even while unconscious, he would not stop talking.
The man is just so starved for socializing, he can't stop now that he's in the zone.
Let B nerd out, come on.
He just wants to chat with his pals.
So the first three that they name drop are Starscream, who was basically the leader of the High Guard, Soundwave, who's usually the second in command of the Decepticons, and Shockwave, who's kind of the scientific leader. Soundwave is the second in command, Shockwave's the scientific leader. I think I got that mixed up.
You're good. You could say whatever the fuck you wanted and I wouldn't know.
As B said, wow, there's a lot of waves here. Raise your hand if you're a wave.
He makes a good point.
He makes a good, yeah.
He's kind of cooking.
It leads to another comedic moment where, Shockwave was basically just annoyed on how B just would not stop talking, so they gagged him. And when he finally got the gag off, he's like, I told you it wasn't tight enough.
This guy knows a lot about gags, okay? He knows how to do them properly.
Yes, but after the explanation that the group is not, loyal to Sentinel, or at least not anymore, Starscream, still not believing them, kind of gives them an ultimatum of either die slowly, not giving us any information, or we'll kill you quickly if you give us information.
Man!
D is not having any of it and goes to leave.
Yeah, the choices kind of fucking suck. I get it.
Either you die or die.
Die or die. Make your choice.
Yeah, but rather that, D's now on the philosophy that no one is going to control him anymore.
I fall into this ideology sometimes. But sometimes control, what you think is control isn't control. He's losing it. Right.
Yeah. And so, after a little scuffle between the two, verbally, it gets to where, D headbutts Starscream in the teeth. And they start fighting it.
As you do. Every now and then you do headbutt Starscream in the teeth. It's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. Which actually causes D to start leaning on the philosophy that the strong should lead.
He definitely enjoys
himself
that.
strong.
Yeah, he enjoys this philosophy a dangerous amount.
Which leads to him starting to choke out Starscream, which actually gives him his high-pitched, whiny voice.
Yeah, Starscream.
Iconic, screechy voice.
They took Starscream's vocal cords away. They fucked him up.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't take them away. He just, badly damaged them.
Yeah.
And then he's in the motion to punch him, which is then when we see the next bit of Megatron come out, both symbolically and literally, as we see Megatron's fusion cannon form.
Yes. He's becoming himself, and it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm. Once again, inclining towards D16's violent nature.
Yeah.
Of course, then they're all ambushed by arachnid and drones.
Yeah,
and
which isn't super helpful.
Which is an amazing actual... Actually, beforehand, they were, everyone was celebrating D, where we actually see his then amber eyes turn into a stark orange. Then they're ambushed. And in an amazing fight sequence with everyone, especially Orion doing that Mortal Kombat move, which I would like to remind you, he did that after maybe having a T-Cog for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because all of this is taking within the span of a day.
Yeah, Orion was just Orion just jumped into it. He was ready.
And to be fair, it was, fighting for survival.
Oh, 100%. But a lot of times when you fight for survival, you don't do a good job.
Yeah. Thankfully, he did a good job.
He did a fucking amazing job. Big props to him.
Unfortunately, they were eventually outclassed once Arachnid joined the fight, and
Well,
he was
yeah.
buried under rubble, much like Alpha Trion.
There's not much you can do about that
Yeah.
situation, but yeah.
And so Alita 1 eventually unburies him, revealing that at least half the High Guard is either dead or taken into captive, with only a few survivors,
Yeah.
along with B and D16.
They're in a rough state.
Mm-hmm. And so Alita gives the not so peppy pep talk that he got. That
She's bad at it.
Because she, Alita ain't bad.
Very bad.
Bad, very bad.
I will
but
say.
hey, it worked.
I will say this alas falls into the trope of woman gives pep talk to sad man. Just
Yeah, but hey,
just a fun little
even
awareness thing.
even though it was a very not good pep talk, it worked.
As long as
And
it
that
works.
got up. And she mentions how Orion is the most optimistic bot out of all of them.
She's not wrong.
Also, kind of teasing the name that he gains later.
Yeah, actually, true.
And so he gets the remaining High Guard and goes to rally them. Shockwave needing a bit of more percussive persuasion with a punch to the eye from Alita, which leads to another one of my favorite scenes. She punched my eye. And after explaining everything, explaining the plan that he has, Shockwave goes, "Why should we follow you?" Alita just does the, fist to hand things like, "We will follow you."
She's very
Shockwave,
persuasive. She's very persuasive, yes.
Shockwave, canonically afraid of women. And so Soundwave is like, what should we do? And softly, the iconic line of Orion Pax going, "Transform and roll out."
Yeah.
Which leads to another bit of comedy. It was like, where someone in the background is like, "What?"
What do you say?
Yeah, he was kind of quiet.
And he's like, yeah, and Lita's like, "Yeah, you gotta speak up." To where Optimus or Orion shouts it.
Yeah, you can't.
so we
You can't be saying this something quietly. It's important.
It's so cute to see Orion just slowly growing into that.
He's working out
Yeah.
how to do it. Yeah.
And even from here, we can actually see hear Chris Hemsworth starting to kind of channel Peter Cullen.
Yeah.
He does channel him a lot. Yeah, he's very good at it too.
As Orion is starting to become more and more Optimus.
Yes.
He plays it well.
We cut to Sentinel's tower, where Sentinel arrives and, he's all gloaty and everything, all
Yeah.
cocky and stuff. He's like, "Wow, Starscream, we've been looking for you for a while." And Starscream, who probably had this whole speech planned to shout at him, is, cut off because his voice box is all messed up, and Sentinel's like, "Wow, your voice sounds terrible." Anyways,
Yeah.
and then he goes up to D and he's like, "Wow, how the mighty have fallen."
When is D?
Kind of gloating on him.
Very funny thing to say. When is D been mighty?
Well, I guess technically during the race.
That's.
Yeah.
I guess so.
And so he's kind of gloating about how, "Oh, I've done this for years. You're not going to stop me. No one's going to believe you. Blah blah blah."
Yep.
And then D gets up because he does not want to kneel to Sentinel.
I loved this. I really like
Sentinel,
this.
like-
This was so powerful to me.
Mm-hmm. And D's like, "I will never kneel to you again."
You tell
And
him,
so
D,
what did he
you
do?
tell him.
And then he gets punched to the ground, and
But
is kind of pinned
Yeah.
there by Sentinel's foot.
which sucks
Sentinel
for
notices.
D. But also it's sending a strong message that it is possible to say things, and I think that was important. Symbolically, it was a good move.
Yeah. Now pinned there by Sentinel's foot. Sentinel notices the decal. He's like, "Oh, Megatronus Prime. Yeah, make
Oh,
sure
God.
It makes sense that you'd rather put his face on you instead of mine. He was amazing. He was blah blah blah.
Oh god.
Here, let me help you make this more permanent." He takes it off his shoulder and puts it on the chest, where,
Oh,
if anyone knows Megatron, that's where his Decepticon symbol is.
yeah.
And then he takes, I guess, like a welder, and
Yeah, it's a welder.
burns the decal away and scars that symbol on his chest.
Yeah, it is literal branding someone. It's fucked up. Actually, like, horrific.
Yeah. And then we cut back to the mining quarters, where all the miners are in Darkwing. You know, and it's Ironhide who's like, we gotta take a break. We've been doing this for 22 shifts. Darkwing's like, shut up, you're a miner.
Darkwing says, I smell the miner in my vicinity complaining. I need to kill them.
You will do what Sentinel says, and he will get his energon.
Yeah.
And then he goes to, like, almost attack him, but, you know, then there was a tap, tap, tap from Orion. And then what I imagine is Orion's most cathartic moment.
Oh, very.
Like, just haymakering him into that arcade machine.
A very good moment.
I think it's also cathartic for the audience, because we finally get to see Darkwing get punched.
We finally get to see an oppressor get the comeuppance.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very good.
And so, he's walking through and gathering the miners, and he doesn't need to actually do anything. They just know that it's Orion, and realize, wow, he's tall.
Yeah, they're like, what's happened? I want to know.
They told us you were dead.
They did.
They said that, right?
Yeah, they did.
I think so.
Yeah, they said that they died from the race injuries. Which again proves that the Icon 5000 is very dangerous.
That they believed it so easily, yes.
And so he starts to explain to them, hey, Sentinel's a dick and he lied to all of you.
Yep. He has this beautiful, like, very inspiring scene moment with them all. Yeah.
And he even relays Alpha Trion, who's now dead, actually. I forgot that part. There was an earlier scene where Alpha Trion was brought to Sentinel, and Sentinel's like, alright, what's going on? He's like, I'm tired of listening to your speeches, just tell me what's going on. Alpha Trion keeps trying to give a speech, and then, you know, he's stabbed through the neck.
Yeah, they just brutally murder him because he doesn't say things straight up.
And so he relays the information that it's not the transformation cog, it's the spark, and he really riles them up. And you can even hear it goes from Chris Hemsworth to almost Peter Cullen.
He gets really fucking close.
He gets real close.
Inches away, I'd say.
Yeah, and then we smash cut to after the branding, where D is like weak, he's in pain, but he still gets up to defy Sentinel.
His passion is so good, and it's why so many people end up following him at the end.
And we cut again to the train on the surface going back into Iacon City, now holding Shockwave, Soundwave, and Ep.1 along with the rest of the High Guard.
Yes, they're sneaking back in.
Yes.
They're doing a rescue mission.
And as Sentinel goes to shoot D to kill him, that's when Arachnid notices the train coming basically straight towards them.
Yeah, she's a looker. She knows how to find things. She's on.
She's everywhere.
She has them everywhere.
Yeah, and so that caused the drones to leap into action and go to protect Sentinel, you know, making it so that he doesn't even get the chance to shoot.
Yeah.
So many drones and Arachnid go out to to stop the train.
Yeah.
Where the High Guard are basically deployed in a very iconic Soundwave line where it's like, eject, because in his usual disguise, he's like a boombox or a tape player. And he usually has these little soldiers that compact into cassette tapes. Anyone remember those things?
Oh, yes, I do.
Remember when
and so whenever he needs
to slowly rewind the tape, like, yeah.
And so whenever he needs to get one out, like Ravage or Frenzy or Rumble, he goes Ravage or Frenzy or Rumble to eject and presses a button on his shoulder that opens his chest and, you know, ejects them.
Yeah.
So that's another reference there.
That's cool. I love that.
And so they're all fighting, but because of the limited amount of High Guard and Arachnid being
the baddest,
ruthless and very quick,
the baddest bitch ever, so it's just hard to keep her down. Yeah.
Elite is like, we're not gonna make it, and that's when all the miners come up with jetpacks.
That finally evens the odds. Yes. A real revolution.
And Orion's there too.
A proper revolutionary moment.
And so there's all that combat, But then Orion is pinned to the front of the train with Alita outside the train. And then Arachnid turns her head around like 180 degrees and opens to more or less 100 eyes all staring at him.
It was so good. She was a spooky ass bitch.
Semblance of body horror we have there.
Yeah,
So good.
and she
Yes.
she 100% deserves that body horror moment. It's her. It's so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so vibes. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
when she said she sees everything, she meant she sees everything.
Yeah.
She
Of course,
sees
all her
you
eyes were
when you're
focused on her.
sleeping. She knows when you're
All
awake.
her eyes were focused on. But there is one flaw in that when she's using all those eyes, she can't use her main eyes in front of her. Which is why Orion's like, oh yeah, you do see everything. Except for the tower we're heading towards.
They really nerfed this bitch. It's fucked up.
Clearly, she
Yeah.
needs her own movie. We demand recompense for this trap.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I remember correctly, she is either kicked off or gets away so she doesn't get, a face full of tower,
Yeah.
which allows Orion to break into the train to protect himself as they crash into the tower.
Yeah.
Luckily, there wasn't a second one they crashed into.
Thank you. Thank you,
I
bitch.
choked on my water. I hate you for that.
Thank you, bitch. I love that.
I was waiting to say that.
Oh, you're gorgeous for it.
Oh, jeez.
So happy I didn't choke on my water there. Anyways, Katie.
So now all the bots down on the ground are all paying attention to this chaos that's going around the tower.
Mm.
And the inside is in just total disarray. Once in, Soundwave is able to free the others, but Orion is now very worried for D because now he has this scar on his chest that kind of looks like Megatronus Prime.
Yeah, he's like,
D's
man.
like, I'm fine, I just need to kill Sentinel Prime.
Hey, Orion is like, man, you just got fucking branded. You're not okay. Come, we need to get you into the first aid tents, bitch.
Meanwhile, D is on full bloodlust mode.
Which I
I'm a
understand.
machine that turns anger into more anger.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, and he just will not listen to Orion anymore.
Mm.
So the High Guard are set free by Soundwave producing, sound waves to break the cuffs that they're in.
Pretty cool
And
moment,
it
not
is
gonna lie. I very much enjoyed that
And it's
moment.
basically full-blown war in that
Yes.
tower.
Yeah, it's a fucking war zone. Literally.
And as they're ready to, attack Sentinel... wait, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's then shown that B also has a native, face mask helmet that protected him from... That protected him from getting hit.
He got so excited.
Yeah, knife hands.
He got knife hands too. He was so excited. Our little
Yeah, and then...
Pedacitron.
Citron. And what are basically what everyone calls his stingers. These little blaster hands that he has that he uses in tandem with his knife hands.
He's such a happy little guy.
He's just he's just so excited, he's just cutting everything.
As you would. It's knife hands. Come on.
They gave the autistic child a knife.
Yeah, as you would. It's very fun. Knives are good for the children. It's good for enrichment.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the dust is starting to settle as they're ready to attack Sentinel, where it reveals that Sentinel is a walking arsenal. He has missiles. He has a laser
He's
cannon.
that guy.
He has a
He's that guy
Gatling
who
gun.
takes like 1 million steroids and only eats like raw meat, you know?
Yeah, because he actually revealed right before the branding that he took Megatronus' cog.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just like to think of him as
And
that
now there's
guy
no
who
really-
takes like steroids, 1 million steroids, and like only eats raw meat. He's
Yeah.
that kind of insane.
Now, there's no real explanation on why Megatronus' cog is purple.
Just for
It's, eh.
just for the silly of it, you know?
Yeah.
Just for the fun.
It's only coincidence.
Just some silly coding.
And so, during the fight, Orion realizes there is actually a way to show everyone, and what they needed was Arachnid.
Yeah.
And so he tried to get D away from the fighting, but D is like, I'm not listening to you anymore. I want to kill.
Yeah. Bro needs to go in this quiet room and play with his stuffies for a bit and really think about what he's doing.
And so, Orion's like, all right, I can't stay here and try and convince you. I gotta get going. And so he calms Ep.1 after jetting off with a jetpack to, capture Alita-1 alive. Which leads to the best cat fight.
It was very fun.
Because
it was a good cat fight.
The fury was lovely.
Yeah, they were almost neck and neck, shockingly.
Yeah, they were.
Until she was able to crash Arachnid and then start beating her with one of her legs.
Yeah, they don't need her like in good shape. They just need her alive, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I need her not broke. I said not broken. Don't worry, I'm being gentle.
She is. She's being really gentle. She hasn't stabbed her or anything.
It'll buff out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And so he takes B. Wait, no, Orion didn't fly out. He just went out the door with B, and takes B to the announcement room where it's like, the broadcasting room where it's like, this is a broadcast from Sentinel Prime.
B just kind of has a good time for a bit and forgets what he's doing.
Yeah, he's like, what? No, everything was cut. No, yeah, I didn't cut anything. Right? Yeah. And the two bots there were like, yep. Because they were scared of the crazy child with knives.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Yeah, he just goes ham for a while.
I mean, I think it's so normal to let a child destroy things, you know?
Yes. And so they put Arachnid on the table and basically kind of like NFC touch points her brain to show off to everyone Sentinel's betrayal.
Yes.
It shows the part where Sentinel said that he stole Megatronus' core. Showed off where he's like, he will subjugate everyone to be able to live the life he wants.
Oh, that's good fun moments.
And shows off him kneeling to the Quintessons.
All the hot moments, the highlights,
all
you
the
know.
good stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
And that announcement actually distracts Sentinel enough because then it's his world crashing.
Yeah,
and that distracts him enough for D to tackle him, and they fly out the window. Thankfully, Sentinel can fly, but it's kind of hard dealing with a crazy man punching you in the face.
I think I would also struggle if someone just punched me in the face a lot, so I understand.
Yeah. And so they crash, damaging Sentinel's wings in the process, which was actually a point of contention where everyone was like, "Oh, why doesn't Sentinel just fly away?" Because in a blink and you'll miss that moment, Sentinel's wings and his thrusters are damaged. He can't get away.
He's the thing. He's also like a fake Prime, so he's not going to heal like good like the other ones.
Yeah. But
like they heal really well, the real ones. But he wouldn't.
They actually end up in a way where all this began. That central point of Icon City with the large statue of the Primes and the
mural
the Matrix of Leadership. Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw it for a moment in the chase sequence. And so Orion sees D and Sentinel scuffing out there, Sentinel trying to get away, and D damaged in his arm and can't actually retract his cannon until he's kind of pops it back into place. So he lifts it up and is ready to shoot him until Orion, catching up in time, is able to point the cannon up to prevent him from, killing Sentinel. Because the new world can't start with an execution, he says.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
The new world can't start with a public execution.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, this is where me and my friend, who's more
radical,
well versed in Transformers, is where we kind of divide. He says it's not a show of being freed from an oppressor; it's a show of force to follow or else.
But still, I don't agree with the speech that Optimus is making. Is more of the thing. It doesn't matter what, the actual words that Optimus is using. I don't know about those. I don't agree with him there.
I can kind of see if he was thinking of imprisoning Sentinel and then, just quietly executing him another day.
Yeah, but I don't think he was.
I'm not sure.
I think Optimus strikes me in this moment as the kind of leftist who will be like, killing people is wrong, but then he'll lock them up forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not
Which
much
I think
better.
Is what he was going.
That's not much better, bitch. That's actually worse sometimes.
Unless they like strip him of his decog and put him in sub-level 50 forever.
That's not better either. That's literally like that's actually bad too.
You're perpetuating the cycle at that point.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
yeah.
It's a cycle. there are arguments we can
is-
make about this forever. I swear.
Yeah, but yeah, D at this point is broiling mad and tells Orion to get out of the way.
Yeah,
When
Orion,
Orion
you're not.
doesn't, he pushes.
Orion is not talking well for this situation. Even if he was talking well, I don't think it would work. But he is not showing a good face this time.
Yeah, but I can see what he was kind of going for in that a public execution isn't the best way to show everyone.
Also,
Because,
like
after that, who leads?
Also,
Leads.
like the other thing is like, I think it's probably better if we get like a guillotine or something instead of someone like doing a very personal revenge field sort of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be
Again-
that's a bit better in my book.
Yeah, but I am thinking about this, like, I'm trying to start seeing where my friend is from, because who leads then? Like, once a personal execution against Sentinel is there's no leader.
Oh, you know who's gonna be the leader?
So
After
everyone,
that happens.
so everyone would think it would be D16 because, he's the one that killed the former leader or something, I don't know.
Yeah, that is how it would work. No,
But
we could get
he
stuck
goes
on this.
He goes to, but D pushes Orion out of the way and goes to shoot Sentinel with the fusion cannon, only for Orion to get in the way and take the blast instead,
This was
blasting
a
off his arm. And
bold move on his part.
Oh,
Mhm. I imagine he thought D would be able to stop it in time.
I don't know. I don't think he was thinking.
Probably.
I don't think he super was thinking.
But so that leads into the scene, the iconic scene of this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
where it leads into Deeb going like, no, why did you do that? And if anyone who's read the script it realizes he's not asking Orion that. He's asking why did he himself do that?
It's some good toxic yaoi moment for real, for real.
we love toxic.
Yeah.
Let's go, Doom.
But he's holding Orion over this basically pit that this statue is built on for some reason.
Yeah, why did we do that? Hey, Sentinel Prime.
It was where the energy zone started to flow again, so.
Yeah, it was still wild. Wild
And so
architecture choice.
And so D is just sitting there contemplating, looking at his dying friend. And then it's the full shift, going straight to those crimson ruby red eyes. And he goes, I'm done saving you. And lets him go.
Yeah. It's genuinely
Now-
very depressing toxic yaoi, for real.
Now, there's a saying that actually appears often in Transformers between Optimus and Megatron. One shall stand, one shall fall.
I think I've heard that before, yes. That sounds familiar.
Yes. Only in this case, the one standing is D, and the one falling is Optimus.
Yeah.
Or Orion.
Well, whatever. Potatoes.
Tomato
And-
fries.
I can't stress this enough. The music in this scene is...
They went fucking hard.
They nailed it.
They put their
Dang.
pussies in this shit,
So
for real.
good.
Using the Optimus dying motif from back in the 86 movie. The desaturation of the dead characters.
Yes.
Which is actually-
God.
It's kind of like when... And for the context, it's kind of like when someone goes pale after they die.
Yes.
Only in this case-
Yes.
The way we
while
locked in.
Optimus is falling through... And while Optimus is falling through the layers of his planet, and D is, he's gone completely insane and starts charging towards Sentinel
Yeah, he's lost his fucking
with just
mind.
straight bloodlust.
He isn't.
And those red
Yeah.
streaks in his eyes were actually a creative design choice.
It's a
when he was
very
moving.
fucking good choice. It feels like it's infecting the world, when the streaks are left impressions on on the screen,
Mm-hmm. And so he takes out the drones very swiftly that are protecting Sentinel.
Yeah.
And we keep smash cutting between Optimus falling and the drone, and D16, or Orion falling and D gaining towards Sentinel.
Yeah.
Because this is basically the moment where things shift.
This is it.
This is the day
Yeah,
that
this is
D
it.
and Orion die.
This is it. This is the moment, the realest
Yeah,
moment of history.
And as this beam of light catches Orion and brings him to the core of the planet Primus, D grabs Sentinel and lifts him above his head. Again, mind you, children's movie.
Children's movie.
And tears him in half from the midsection.
Children love violence.
You know, if this was people, like if these were the Earth people, this would be rated R.
Oh, the children deserve to see other violences. The poor children.
Because they can get away with gore like that with robots.
Yeah, it's not real. They can tell the people who are rating the movie. They're like, it's not real. Look at them. They're not real.
It's just oil. It's just wires.
They're just robots. Look at them.
They don't even have oil in this one.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
They wanted to actually have him bleeding Energon, though.
That would have been so cool, but
Come
so
on.
difficult. That would have been really
Cartoon
difficult.
Censorship.
I feel like that would have
and
just been
animation is
incredibly.
a
Yeah,
disgrace.
I feel like it was probably the animation struggle more than anything.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And
Some
so
of those on
as
censorship.
Orion is being guided towards Primus and the core of the planet, D rips out Megatronus's core and announces that the age of primes is over,
Oh my god. Yes.
and basically announces himself as leader.
Yeah. He's like, it's me.
And the High Guard is just eating this up.
Oh yeah, of course they are.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, B and Leader 1, who were usually always chipper or very stern and serious with the rules, are looking at their former friend in terror.
Yeah, that's scary.
And D takes out the former Prime cog in his chest and replaces it with Megatronus, giving himself a major upgrade. And meanwhile, the sparks of the 13 Prime are speaking to the corpse of Orion
Yep.
that Primus has considered him worthy of the Matrix of leadership.
He does check a
And
lot of the
so
boxes. Yeah.
And so as the Matrix basically takes the position as the T-Cog for Orion and starts rebuilding him, D16 puts Megatronus' cog into his slot, and he starts getting an upgrade, and they're both upgrading at the same time.
Yeah.
And he finally announces himself not as D16, but as Megatron,
Yes.
basically taking the name of his hero.
Yeah.
And then Alpha Trions announces that Orion Pax is no more, and he is now Optimus Prime. And a nice point of I want to point with the music is that it's this awesome dichotomy, because as Optimus is basically now shot back to where he was, it's this triumphant, heroic sound that immediately bleeds into terror and horror as
He arrives back home.
Megatron goes more that Megatron just goes completely off the rails and starts destroying anything in his path.
I noticed that the things that he's mainly destroying are like statues of Sentinel Prime. Like they're very definitely like focused attacks, but they aren't considering the dangers that he's causing.
And when Elite 1 tried to stop him, Megatron that took that instead of, trying to stop wanton destruction as
Supporting.
basically he's gone off the rip as supporting Sentinel,
Yeah.
And so now he sees anyone that's trying to stop him as basically betrayal.
This is what we call like a toxic yaoi meltdown. For real. Like it's very much he's lost his mind because his boyfriend's dead. And he's not going to get better if his boyfriend comes back to life because he's already lost his mind,
Which he does.
Yeah.
He lands and it's very triumphant, and now Chris Hemsworth is like fully
In the zone.
channeling Peter Cullen.
He's in there. He's in the zone. He's 100% vibed.
Mm-hmm. And I really like this one point about the design of Optimus in this movie, in that the Matrix is on full display. Like Primus is being like, "No, this is the guy. He has the Matrix."
Yeah, they're making a point to
Not
say
having
you
another
can't.
Sentinel.
Yeah, they're making a point to say you can't pretend that you are something you aren't. We are being very direct this time because you guys fucked up last time.
This is why we can't have.
And
we're doing it right.
And during that confrontation, where Orion's like, "You're gone, and you're not the person I knew anymore." Megatron, or Optimus. Now I'm getting it backwards. Optimus is like, "You're not the person I knew. You've gone completely nuts. We could have built the world together."
You got this. You got this.
Like, Megatron is like, "I'll build the world my own way. I don't need a leader. I will lead." And so it leads into the best fighting scene ever. It is
choreography and camera work is.
Yes, it is a fight scene only these characters could have.
Yes.
Like the tailpipe flamethrower, the fusion cannon rapid fire.
The rocket to the face.
Before that, it's like he breaks off Megatron's tank cannon when he transforms and goes to hit him with it, but Megatron blocks it with his shoulder, reattaching it to his body and shooting him with it again.
It's genuinely brutal.
And then it goes into two different quick POV shots, one of Megatron pouncing onto Optimus and just wailing on him, Optimus blocking with his arms, and then it switches over to the other side of that POV. And then the Matrix starts to hum and glow as energy starts going towards Optimus's arm, giving him his signature Energon axe, which blasts Megatron away. Then that whole uncut sequence of him basically taking on the High Guard single-handedly.
Yeah, it was fucking brutal.
It was amazingly choreographed.
Oh, 100%.
Because then he wasn't just fighting Megatron, he was fighting Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, Shockwave. He even used Shockwave's own blaster against Megatron. And then Starscream fired a missile at him. He catches the missile and then just spikes it into Soundwave's face.
Yeah, God.
Ending in when Megatron is attacking with both his small cannon and his main cannon. Optimus is able to bend the small cannon out of shape, switching the hand the axe is from, and then cutting the main fusion cannon in half.
Yeah, that was horrifically brutal to me. That felt immensely that felt like almost like a stab wound, you know?
I can see it.
Yeah.
But it does looks like it gets replaced after.
Oh, 100%, I know, but it just that particular part felt so visceral.
Yeah. And so with the defeat of Megatron, Optimus kind of explains how he's changed, that he's not the person he is anymore, and that he's banished from Iacon City. And as Azel pointed out, for a moment, you could see a flash of regret and sorrow from D16, not Megatron.
But he doesn't go back on anything he's done as part of the issue.
Yeah, he even gets up and doesn't even refer to him as Optimus or Orion anymore. He only focuses on his title, Prime.
Yeah. It's sad. It's genuinely
and so he rallies,
sad.
And so he rallies the High Guard, and they're because Megatron is basically their leader at the point because of showing all his strength.
Yeah, they're all about strength.
And so it goes into a scene where Alita, or Optimus, and B are all talking about how they need to start rebuilding, giving Alita the title of Major instead of Waste Management. And how Optimus does not want to send B back to sub-level 50, so he's like, "Now you're my right-hand man." And B's like, "I've always wanted to work at the government."
Oh, God.
Oh, B, you sweet, sweet summer child.
That's a bad thing to do, usually.
And so with the return of the Matrix, Energon starts flowing again, and out of that
I take that back. There are a lot of government workers that are incredibly useful and good. It's just very funny to look forward to working for the government.
Yeah. Oh boy, bureaucracy.
Right?
But to be fair, he was staring at garbage for who knows how long.
That's true.
So that must be entertaining to him.
He gets to see like the outside
But
world too, which is like probably a bonus.
So the well of Energon flows again. Energon's flowing again, which reveals that it flowed to all of Cybertron, even passing the deer.
Yeah, it basically was a mass flood of like Energon.
Basically refilling all the rivers.
Yeah.
And out of the well of Energon came T-Cogs, all the lost T-Cogs.
Yes.
Flowing into all those who couldn't transform.
It was so beautiful.
It
made
then you
me.
got RC, Ironhide, Wheeljack, Jazz, all
It gave
getting
me
their
a real
forms.
Gave me a real sort of like when like, oh god, this is such a silly reference, but with the Tinkerbell movies with the fairy talents, it reminded me of just like the beauty of those moments when they would
I saw the movies.
awaken in the sparkle pile, and like they would find their talents, and it was so cute. It reminded me of that sort of beauty.
Yeah. Or when like they added the blue fairy dust and the fairy dust started to flow crazily again.
Yes. It's just so lovely. Very, very, very lovely. Like, you can do so much with some sparkles and love.
And then it ends with Optimus giving a message to the Quintessons that they're, not going to give up. They will defend their home.
There's this alliance.
They're Autobots.
This allegiance isn't a thing anymore. You have to deal with us now, basically.
Yeah. And then roll credits, and then goes to that one scene I mentioned where B goes down to sub-level 50, shows off to his friends, accidentally kills them.
Oh, God. That's such a fucking depressing end credit scene. That's such a
But
fucking
then it goes
depressing.
to the actual end credits scene.
Yeah.
Where Megatron saying that while Sentinel is dead, there is a new deceiver.
A new prime.
Because, yeah. And so he's now the one branding everyone.
Yeah, it's
with the symbol of the Decepticons.
It's genuinely horrific how far he falls, and I say it a million times now, but the toxic yaoi of Optimus and Megatron is very potent. I know there's some raunchy.
Yeah,
I know there's some raunchy of those two out there. There has to be. The passion is too powerful.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, it also shows basically where they're getting the name Decepticons, as now they will be the ones with deception.
They're the ones fighting back against the deceivers, and they will deceive others in their goals.
Right. And
they will use the tools of the enemy. They're basically saying they're going to use the tools of the enemy against them.
Despite the fact that they are more the enemy.
Oh, of course, but that's their goal. That's like their whole that's the deal.
Yeah, but that's
that's the movie. It was fucking amazing.
It's so good.
It's why I suggested it. It's so good and need more people to know about it.
Yeah,
yes, spread the propaganda.
Guys, if you are not able to watch it legally, I cannot on YouTube say go find other ways, but there are methods to watch this movie.
Well, there is a will, there is a way.
Exactly. Hazel, do you have any closing thoughts, or shall I get into mine?
Go first. I'll see if I can bounce off yours, because I do have a lot of stuff to say.
I greatly enjoyed the discussion around classism and societal structures that are like subjugation and such. It was so potent. It was so entrenched in the discussion. It wasn't I hate to be mean to this movie because people love it, but it wasn't Zootopia levels of discussion about societal issues. It was actually it was so drenched in the themes that you were drowning in it in the best way possible. I adored that immensely. I can't say that I agree with Optimus's passivity speech at the end, of course. I am a believer that because that the system tries to sell people on peaceful protesting because it makes life less difficult for them. There are times when non-peaceful protest is a better tool. That is just the fact of the matter.
There's the time to talk and the time to act.
This is just the facts of
Yes.
this of situations. Is that sometimes a passive, a more peaceful protest. Sorry, not passive. Peaceful protests are not passive.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I actually agreed with D16 all the way until he started, just
Up to a
basically
point.
wildly shooting.
Up to a point, he was really selling it for a while, but then he just kind of lost himself. So this movie, I do like that they aren't trying to say Optimus is perfect. A lot of people, when there's like a hero leader type in these movies, they're like, this guy is the perfect leader. He knows everything. He knows exactly what he's doing. This movie very clearly tells us that Optimus has issues that he is not addressing, and they will affect his ability to help people. And they have already affected his ability to help people in regards to Megatron. Because
That's
of
right.
his intense naivety about how he can fight back has pushed his friend away. Not that Megatron is innocent in his actions either. It's a back and forth situation. They both have impacted each other badly. It's like Megatron went down the outright pipeline because he didn't have anyone who understood what he was saying about the system.
Until he met the High Guard.
Yes, exactly. And they were so extreme about, like, he recognized himself in some of the things they were saying about the oppression and the will to fight back, the desire to fight back more aggressively, that he ignored the red flags and allowed himself to be sucked into the pipeline. And this happens to people. This is a real thing that happens to people. He's almost a cautionary tale, really, in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Though throughout all this, it does also give Optimus his usual belief in that freedom is the right of all living things.
Oh, yes. 100% freedom. I find this, in these modern days, I often find freedom an interesting topic for discussion, because a lot of people don't want to discuss what freedom means. In Optimus's case, freedom definitely means like freedom to exist, whatever like form you are. But it's interesting because a lot of people view freedom through different lenses, and I find it quite a curious term. But I agree with him on this front, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and
Which you
yeah,
can kind of see.
the dynamic between him and Megatron is so entrancing.
Which saying actually, I can actually kind of see what he was trying to do, even though it was a bit of a flawed view with Sentinel.
Yes.
I imagine he was just going to try and banish Sentinel like he banished Megatron.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't just like banish people. That doesn't work long term. You
Just look at Napoleon.
can't let people become like, if you let someone become a martyr to the cause, that's the problem. Megatron could martyr himself if you exiled him. He would like do a whole spiel and bring people to his side and talk about how you were oppressing him. That's not. And Sentinel would do the same. He would run with his tail between his legs, but he would make himself a martyr in the best way he could, through some like very subtle propaganda. I imagine he would use his arachnid lady to help spread some misinformation. Because I don't know if she would be exiled, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if she would have been.
There is one thing that my friend and I talked about. With how their world has been for so long, I imagine that it's not just going to be, oh, everything's hunky-dory now.
Oh, no way.
There's going to be lasting, like, even though everyone is now on equal terms with having T-Cogs, there's going to be people like Darkwing. He couldn't go with the Decepticons because he couldn't go with the Decepticons because,
he was on Sentinel's side, yeah.
And so he had to stay behind, but he's still very much probably antagonistic towards those who used to mine.
And he likely will be joining alt-right groups that exist within the city now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because of just the fallout of the situation. As I like to say, the best way to fight back against these people is social shaming.
Yes, That is something I very much agree with. We need to bring back public shaming.
Basically, what you do when someone
Shame.
says something insane, you look at them incredulously and you go, "What the fuck are you talking about? What on earth are you saying? Do you hear yourself? We're at a public park. What's going on here? Like, hello?" It's actually incredibly effective. People are too nice about that sort of thing, and I'm not a believer in being nice to oppressives.
Thank you. I've been saying that to my friend all the time. He's a bit more on the passive side when it comes to stuff like this, and I'm like, when there's a bitch, you gotta call him a bitch.
Exactly.
Gotta call them out on that.
I understand
Exactly.
it's a hard thing to shake for a lot of people because they have been taught and had it ingrained in themselves from very young. There's a lot of like early on indoctrination sounds harsh, but it is kind of it, where you're not allowed to speak back to people who have more power. And if a lot of people like phrase in their minds that people who speak confidently have power. So it's very hard for them to speak back against the oppressors. And even when like they're aware that the oppressors, that is also a bad thing because that means that like they assume that they have power because oppressor means you're standing above someone. So it's like a cycle of not being able to speak back against power makes more oppressors and more subjugation because you are elevating them simply because you are subjugated sometimes. Not that I'm blaming people, of course, but there's a cycle almost.
Yeah.
And it's very hard.
Be boiled down into the saying of respect your elders, because people think just because you're older, you're wiser and you should be respected.
Oh.
I've seen many elders who are like, "Why are you like this?"
It's very
Made
odd.
them on the road. They are terrible drivers.
It's like, hello? Have you talked to a human being? Does your mother not teach you manners? Grow up. What are you, 12? Some of those older people, I'm just like, did no one teach you manners? It's ridiculous to me, honestly. But thank you.
It's how we got Karens and such.
Yeah, but thank you, Ruby, for coming on the episode. I really appreciate you being willing to be like our titular episode 1 person.
Thank you for spearheading the first episode.
Yeah, it's an immense honor to have you on.
I had a lot of fun.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad we had a lot of discussions. I talked happily. Hazel, do you have any closing thoughts?
I don't know if I can call them closing.
Oh, I love more open thoughts. That's fine.
So let's wrap back to a bit earlier in the podcast. Oh, this is a long podcast. Okay. That dichotomy a lot, and that I really wrote this down while we were watching this yesterday. Dichotomy is such a strong underlying theme, not only in just storytelling with how we see Orion and D16 gain their followers, how their charisma is literally the opposite of each other's, but it's also just like color schemes, framing.
Yes.
It's so like think about this. Like, you always see Pax and D16 on one side of the screen. Pax is on one side, D is on the other. Literal dichotomy. And so much usage of reds and blues.
Yes.
Hot, cold, standard color theory, all that jazz. Even from like the very first, like even if you think about this, like from just the character design points of our two wonderful protagonists. How many colors does D have?
He's got one color. Yeah, he's pretty monochrome.
Except for his eyes.
Yeah. But like his overall color scheme is just
flat.
Silver.
Grays and blacks.
Silvers, metallic silvers. Even in his cogless state, Pax was still pretty colorful in comparison.
He was, yes. He was very bright, and it sort of was a good character design point, and that showed his like optimism. I feel he had hope.
He always knew that there was something greater for all of them.
He hadn't been brought down by the system completely and shared his identity, so to speak.
Yeah.
The only identity that Megatron allows himself to have in that time is his appreciation for his idol.
Yeah, and then
That's the
that
only
was shattered.
identity he seems to have. Like, if you could even say that his only identities are surrounding merchandise.
You're
Like
not
the,
wrong, but
which is
yeah.
which is also, you know, propaganda tools, which is interesting to me.
But even then, dichotomy color theory. Can I just nerd on about the framing?
Yes, go on. Live your truth.
Please, if like no shade to like the characters, but if you remove them and you just gave me the shots of just Cybertron, Iacon, it was like you'd have to convince me very hard to like not see this as a shot from movie, but instead concept art.
Yes. That I was saying during the watch that it very much feels like the passion of when they used to just paint whole ass backgrounds for animated movies. I say used to. Ghibli still does that. But but it was all in 3D
Ghibli,
this time. Ghibli, whatever. Ghibli.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But it's something about this. It's so refreshing for me, as someone who's watched a lot of 3D films, to see. I don't want to say like this is a very like pretentious way of saying it.
Come on, Snobservation. Hello.
Yeah, but it's like it's so refreshing to see like art on the screen.
Yes, I know 100% what you mean.
Because again, it's
still a product of
shots.
it's still a product, still an existing IP with a very powerful merchandise line. However, it's still art.
Yes, and not even just like the film itself is art. It's just the way that they frame so many of these like wide shots, expanding shots of just the scenery. It's art. You could frame that on a wall and call it art. It's
you
so
could, yeah.
Good.
You could literally just say, this is a painting I made. This is a painting I bought at a local gallery with just the background shot.
But what's amazing is that they're all done in 3D.
Yes. It's ridiculously beautiful. God, I love it so much.
If anything, that just shows how far we've come in terms of 3D animation as a industry.
We can really make so much if we give studios and artists the funding and time to make things.
And if it's a project that they are passionate about.
You can feel that, yeah. You can feel the passion.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, they did their homework when making this movie.
They did, yes. Have we got any other thoughts, everyone?
One tiny critique.
Yes, I love critiques.
Even though I liked this film, I still think it needed more runtime, even though I think it's a long film. There's
a lot you wanted to cover. You wanted to see more of certain things.
There's too much jump cuts from like one zone to another, and I feel like it would have been better
if they held the shot a bit more. If they just held shots more.
Not even if they held shots, if they gave more time to like
breathe.
Actually expand on some things, because
I do enjoy more breathing time. Yes, I understand that.
It's less breathing for me. It's more like I feel like they didn't have enough time to like let things play out.
Yeah, it was very speedy, which isn't usually what we go for, Hazel. This isn't usually our cup of tea with the speed of it.
Yeah.
Which is fair. That's a personal observation on our part.
I also kind of wanted a bit more with the quintessons, because I feel like that was kind of glossed over.
There was not enough with the quintessons.
I find that too, but I also perceive them more as a narrative tool than an antagonist.
True, but I felt like they could have like used the quintessons narrative pushing capabilities a bit more.
I do believe that, but I also think it would have detracted from the societal themes that they were going for.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe explain why the quintessons even need the energon if they're an organic species.
I think what would really benefit this movie is some accompanying graphic novels.
It needs something to help flesh out this.
Yeah, just some short stories and some short story cartoon stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Some short story comics would be, honestly, a very good accompanying piece to this.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Because there are a bunch of comics, but then none of them are actually connected to Transformers 1.
Yeah, no, that's what we needed. But thank you for joining us, Ruby. Would you like to plug? Plug your socials, plug your
Would you
Twitch,
like
all
to
those
plug
good
your
things.
socials,
Please
Twitch,
do.
and all that jazz?
Please do that.
If you want more introspective commentary, or if you just want to watch me play games and see if I can get through them or not, follow me at twitch.tv/rubydead_queen, and my blue sky is the same, and so is my Twitter, but I'm not really much on Twitter anymore because
It sucks. It sucks. But yes, we will be posting her links in the description as well, so don't worry if you missed them. But it was lovely having you, Ruby. Big cheers to first episode. Big cheers to first episode.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before we end, I gotta let you know that we will be doing hold on, I took notes. I know what films we're doing next.
Yes, he's so good at notes.
We're doing... It was Butterfly Effect.
It was that one, yes. The one with...
Okay.
Is that the Ashton Kutcher one?
Yes, it was the
Ashton Kutcher, my mortal nemesis.
Oh, that's gonna be so heated. But yes, we will be doing Butterfly Effect for our next episode, which will be episode 2. Wow, I can count, I know. Butterfly Effect 2004, starring Ashton Kutcher.
These episode releases will be a bit delayed between recordings as we're getting used to the upload process still, I think. We do want to make sure we get the sort of the pilot episode out first with the tier lists, but our editor is working. Our editor is working beautifully hard on that, so don't you worry.
Bless them.
We won't be putting these episodes up on the same day either. We'll try and space them out. Keep you in anticipation.
But before we sign out, we still have to spin the wheel.
We do have to spin the wheel!
Okay.
There's a wheel for choosing the next one.
So if you don't know, and this is a good chance to tell the viewers who do not know how this works. So the Wheel of Fate determines what we pick. So for reference,
we had
Transformers
submissions.
1 was our first.
We had submissions pre-start. We will open submissions again for the next season.
Once we get through all of them.
Yes,
We've got a lot of films to go.
Yeah.
But do know, gonna start. Actually, I should probably do my paw for the wheel.
If you can record your POV just for that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, I am doing that right now. So, this wheel has every single film minus, at the time of this recording, Transformers 1, which we covered, and then Butterfly Effect, which will be our next film we cover. So this is the rest of the films that are the people that we reached out for gave us. So I'm gonna hit the funny button.
The funny button.
The funny button. You don't need to hear the wheel spinning sound editor. You're fine. Oh, never mind.
It might be a bit jarring to have the noise.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen.
Drum roll, please.
Priscilla. Just kidding. This is episodes 3 and 4.
Holy shit, what?
Because we are covering Reefer Madness musical, episode 3 and 4. Okay, calm yourself.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry. I'm really excited about this one.
No, I'm excited too because I get to cover an exploitation film, but we need to figure out if we're doing the musical and Reefer Madness together in one episode or not.
We might have to split them up. Given how long this episode has been, we might need to split them up.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see, babes.
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
We'll basically record ourselves doing one of the movies, and then if it's quite a long time, we'll split them up.
Yeah. We do need to figure out the order in which we want to do this, though. For Reefer Madness.
Watch the exploitation first, and then the musical. Yeah.
Let's go. Sorry.
But yes, that's the catalogue so far. We're doing Butterfly Effect next, and then after that, we'll be doing the Reefer Madness Duo Hour. Duo special.
Yes.
Thank you again, Ruby.
Thank you so much, Ruby.
Big cheers to Ruby for joining us.
Yippee! I got the cheer for you.